You.
Welcome back, everybody, after a week-long hiatus. This is the October Country Comics Podcast with Devon.
Will.
Pure raw honey.
And Dave Rod.
Oh, you changed it? You didn't want to do the other thing I sent you?
No.
All right. Because
I'm,
how do I know?
I'm literally gonna call you Steve Dave the entire night because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
because that's
That's fine.
that's the funny thing from Mallrats. He kept calling him Steve
Uh-huh.
Dave. It's just really weird.
Oh, did we ever talk about the fact that I watched Clerks? Because I watched it with Annalisa when she saw it.
No, we didn't talk about the fact that you watched Clerks. Clerks is freaking awesome.
I watched it.
What'd you think?
It was good. I was like, all right, I could get down with this. What I didn't know is she had put on the first cut where, and this is a spoiler for a movie that's been out for decades, but the main character gets shot in the robbery at the end,
Yeah.
which was the ending that like nobody liked, so they went back and changed it. I didn't know that, so I was like, that's a really stupid ending. Like, why that came out of nowhere?
Well,
but
the thing was is that, and the reason why it got changed was, when the movie studio actually, because he put that in like different film festivals, and eventually when like the actual movie studio picked it up, they were like, yeah, like the movie's really great, but the ending's just like, it's kind of just like a really depressing like ending to this movie when things kind of like, you have like this moment where like he finally has this epiphany and then like you just kill him and he's like, okay, well, what do you suggest? They're like, we're going to let's just cut that out. And like they literally end, like the movie, the theatrical cut ends with Randall throwing the sign back inside the store telling him you're closed. And it just ends there. And even Kevin Smith, he's like, yeah, I didn't know how to end the movie. Like, I didn't know, like, I kind of just kept going. He's like, and that was just my logical ending, was he just gets,
dies in a robbery.
he just gets killed because it's just like this crappy day. And how else will a shitty day end? Like, he dies.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
guess
like,
so.
And they were like, and he admits it. He's like, yeah, I didn't know how to end the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I did it.
That's like, what's that movie he made about the cult? Wasn't it Red something?
Red State.
Red State. Yeah, you know his original ending for that?
I never watched it.
Oh.
I haven't watched any of his movies outside of his Clerks.
Well, you know, like the
Stuff.
basics of it,
Tusk.
right? Like it's the SWAT team versus the cult, and then there's like kids that are like hostages of the cult.
I know, like, loosely.
Yeah, the original ending is the cult leader and John Goodman like stare each other off, and then it jump cuts to him briefing his superiors and being like, "I subdued the suspect with a headbutt." And that's it. It's like a comedy ending. But what Kevin Smith wanted to do, if he had $4 million more to make that movie, is he wanted the cult members' heads to start exploding, and then like it was just the rapture. Like the cult ended up being right, that the rapture was coming, but I mean, they still all die. Jonathan Goodman's the only one that's left. Like all the SWAT team members get like brutally like murdered by invisible angels, and then he like looks over and you just see like this angel in like night getup, and he's just like, shh, and then just flies away, and it like zooms out, and like it's Judgment Day, which is like a weird ending.
It's very dogma-ish.
Yeah, I would be okay with that ending.
Yeah,
It actually sounds like a kind of a cool ending.
yeah, it sounds pretty dope. I think
I didn't really watch any of those movies by him. Like I didn't watch Tusk. I didn't watch Red State. I didn't watch.
Tusk is the weirdest fucking concept for a movie that I've ever come across. For a movie that's trying to take itself seriously.
But for a horror movie, too, it's fucking terrifying. Like, the
Yeah.
whole idea of it is terrifying.
No, I mean, like, seriously, like it's a messed up thing. Like,
yeah.
could you imagine being a reporter going to this guy to interview him, and he like drugs you and then tries to mutilate you into being a walrus?
Into being and then he puts on his own walrus suit and then fights you as the walrus, and then they put you in. Then your friends save you, and then they put you in a fucking zoo, and that's it. It's just I think it's funny on concept, on paper. Reading that out, it's just funny to me. Like, I'm sure in the film, because I've seen clips of the movie, like, it does look creepy. But it's just on paper, that's just the weirdest thing.
Oh, it bothered me in so many ways.
I kind of want to watch this now.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
I don't ever recommend this.
I believe that
Definitely watch it. And
All right,
Johnny
so-
Depp is a creep.
He's in this movie?
Yes.
As what?
the
As a
detective, yeah,
Of course.
he's like trying to find him. He's like, "Ooh."
On a scale of
I
one...
didn't even realize it was him at first when I was watching. I was like, who is this weird guy?
On a scale of like, or, you know, comparing and contrasting here, what is more uncomfortable, Tusk or Human Centipede?
Oh,
I've never watched Human Centipede because
Okay.
I don't know. That just bothers me.
yeah, that's just gross. That's
Yeah,
just
it,
mad.
It just seemed too
ugh.
out there for me.
People just
I'm just
Ugh.
saying, like,
Yeah.
you
no.
can't just go sewing people's lips to a butthole.
I saw the South Park
Like, if you ask
episode.
nice
That's all I
enough,
need to say.
Maybe.
If you ask nice enough?
Yeah.
I don't.
Actually,
I saw the South Park episode. That's all I need to see.
That's one of those things. Like that's one of those things, Jeremy. Like even if you asked, like I feel like if you asked that question, like my duty as your friend would be like, all right, we're gonna get in this car. I'm gonna drive you down to this facility that's gonna give you a nice week of electroshock just to get you back on track.
I just, you know what the thing with me and horror is, anytime it comes to lips, I get skeeved out. So like with that awful, what the hell is it? House of Wax remake with Paris Hilton, where the one girl gets tied to like the medical chair and she's trying to scream for her brother and the guy ends up like super gluing her lips together.
Oh,
Like that is one of the most terrifying horror moments for me, was her pulling apart the super or the super glue from her mouth with her mouth, and it's just like, so that's actually why I've never watched Human Centipede. It has nothing to do with like the concept. It's just the fact that like you're messing with someone's lips in a horror setting, and that freaks me out.
What about ears?
Eh.
Like with all your other hang-ups about ears, like that's not something that bothers you in a horror movie. When
No.
like, all right.
Like, but that's like, for me with all of like my ear problems.
What about that Q-tip scene in Freddy's Dead?
No, that didn't bother me because it's Freddy's Dead, and that whole most of that franchise is a giant joke.
has anybody ever
see
seen
you
the
in your
first
dreams.
Jackass?
What?
I've
The
seen
first
parts
Jackass
of it.
movie?
yeah, parts.
Is that's the one where they flood the basement and put the alligators in it, right? Or the garage or something?
Why would you?
I think they. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember which one that is.
I think that's the first one.
It might be.
That was like the whole bet. Like that was like the big running overarching joke, right? He fills the like his mom's house like the basement with water and puts crocodiles in there or something.
I know there's an episode of one. I think one of the shows where he does that. It might
No, it's in the movie. It's definitely in the movie.
But my point there was back to the lips thing. So there's like a whole section of video like where they're giving Steve-O paper cuts, and they have a section where his mouth is wide open. They're trying to cut the corners of his mouth.
Oh,
And I remember
oh,
that.
no.
That terrified me
Oh,
watching that. Like I couldn't.
No, because that's even like, for anyone, and I'm gonna date myself here, who's played Parasite Eve. Anyone back in
Yes.
the day? I know I've shown Devon, and he's played it. So there's this moment where like a girl, for Will and everyone else listening, a girl morphs into like one of these like weird monsters, and I'll show Will later.
Uh huh.
But like she starts like agonizing in pain and thrashing about, and then like she opens her mouth wide and her cheeks split open.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like,
hey,
it's
you know-
massively
So does
terrifying.
Melina from Mortal Kombat freak you out?
No.
Because like her mouth's just all.
No.
For
I
you
remem-
audio listeners, you'll have to go to
Yeah.
YouTube to see it.
I remember watching, you know, because I used to love this video game, and it's just like PlayStation had some of these terrifying moments in it that just don't seem to happen anymore, and maybe because I'm getting older and jaded to horror.
Silent Hill, the first one, had some moments.
When
Clock Tower.
when Nemesis jumps into the police station from the window in Resident Evil 3, when Jill's ready to leave and he chases her the rest of it, that whole scene used to terrify me.
Do you remember in the Silent Hill movie when
Which
the
one?
Pyramid I think it was the first one, the
Uh-huh.
Pyramid Head guy straight up like it was one like there's the main characters who are trying to get out of there, but there are like also other people in the movie with them. And I'm pretty sure it was the Silent Hill movie. Because I remember the Head guy doing this. He like walks up to the one girl who's like trying to get away, grabs her chest, and twists and rips off her entire chest.
I think
I
I
do
remember that
remember that.
happening.
It's like
it was
it's
years ago since
horrifying.
I've seen
I was
it.
like, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, what's he gonna? Oh,
I always
like now here's the thing. I mean, again, now this is also in like this was in Mallrats, and I've also heard other people tell me this. Like when you get hit in the boob, it hurts like hell.
Oh yeah.
Could you
it's
imagine
like
if someone just ripped your chest off?
Oh yeah.
God.
I mean, it's no different than someone grabbing your balls and ripping them off.
Yeah, it's pretty much the
Which
like equivalent.
Carrie 2, The
I
Rage.
think
Oh,
probably
yeah.
Do you remember with
She
the
gets
harpoon
harpooned.
gun?
Or she harpoons someone's nuts
There's a
off 'em.
sequel to Carrie.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's a terrible. So
Let me word
Is
this
it a
better.
sequel to the original?
Yes.
Starring the same person?
No.
Yes,
It's-
there is one person that returns.
So what happens there when she goes crazy finally and starts like
Yeah, like the end of the movie when she's covered
Yeah.
in blood.
well no in the sequel
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's like a high school party and she goes nuts and then one of the girls who's like picking on her decides she's gonna try and shoot her with this harpoon gun and Carrie
God.
shatters the glasses she's wearing, the glass into her eyes, so she freaks out, screams, turns and shoves the harpoon gun into the guy's crotch and fires it, and it shoots his balls off with the
Yeah.
harpoon.
Oh,
So
God.
it's a terrible movie, but like on a scale of 1 to 10 on terribly awesome, it's so terribly bad, it's good. Like, I actually have a soft spot for Carrie 2, The Rage.
Oh,
It's
dear.
so terrible.
Yeah.
It is so bad, and it's like,
But it's
some
like
of-
a fun watch.
oh, it's on Amazon Prime for free.
Oh, yeah.
I highly recommend everyone watch this movie just for shits and giggles.
They kept this girl in high school. Doesn't it end with her having
no,
like
no,
a
it's her
weird?
sister.
It's her sister.
It's her half sister.
It's weird. It's very like, it's very weird.
It was a
Yeah.
stretch, but they bring back
The girl who survived.
the girl who
first
survives
movie.
the first one, only to kill her off in a bitch way.
Oh,
It's
okay.
stupid. Like her whole like side story is actually really good.
Cause all I know is like it's a girl. She's got power. She's got the telekinetic powers, and like she's bullied in high school and whatever. And then it ends with her getting like
Have you
blood
never
dumped on her or
seen
something.
Carrie?
No.
What is wrong with you? It's on Netflix right now.
Well, I
Go-
didn't know that.
Go home right now.
Okay.
Just put it on the computer while we're talking. It's
Yeah.
fine. Just watch
Yeah, just
it.
play it in the
They're all
background.
gonna laugh at you.
I saw. Nah, I won't talk about it.
I don't know if I want to keep going because I can.
I saw a parody
Really?
of it.
I'm surprised that that's the quote you went with, not the one you always go with. The go-to.
I smelled the whiskey on his breath, and I liked it. I liked it. Is that the one?
That's the one.
They're called breast mama. There was really no setup for that, but I just wanted to add in they're called breast mama.
It's just been revoked.
Devin, we really didn't set you up here for that Die Hard line.
First off, that was a Lethal Weapon line.
Whatever.
You fool. Wow, you had to mess that whole thing off.
I'm sorry.
I'll have what she's having.
Better? I'm so.
Come on, Jeremy.
Speaking
you
of-
got that look on
Did
your
I
face
kill
like you got
the
so many
mic for
things
you
to
when I
say
did
right
that?
now.
I
Yeah,
have
that's
nothing
why
to
I was
really
kind of
contribute.
spreading it off. Don't worry, I'll put a limiter. You won't be peeking anything.
Oh, I
in
think
anybody's
I
car.
should peek everyone for that.
Yeah.
I want to crack so many people's.
I mean,
speaker systems.
you could end up damaging the mic by peeking it, but
Oh,
not. But I
sorry,
can put a
Mike.
limiter so it's not affecting our listeners as much. But speaking of video games, did you guys see the new PS5?
I don't even.
It's ugly.
I like it. I was talking to everybody. I was like, it's like the Cybertruck. Like it's supposed to look like the future, but
don't-
like the
I don't-
'80s version of the future.
I don't like the color scheme. I
What's
don't
the
like.
color scheme?
It's white.
It's white and blue.
black.
Ew.
Yeah, there's like blue in the
Ew.
middle, and it sits like vertically.
Yeah, but
instead of
every
horizontally.
PlayStation except for the first PlayStation can sit vertically.
Mine
I-
can.
I wouldn't put the PS4 or the PS3
No.
vertically.
Yeah,
It's
they're-
meant
no,
to
they're-
sit
no, it's not.
horizontally.
They're meant to sit vertically as well.
I wouldn't trust my
PS3 had a hard enough
PS3.
time.
Huh?
just even loading
Dude,
discs.
I wouldn't trust my PS3 to sit horizontally
But
Well, it
or
does.
vertically.
They
I
added-
think I like the
That's why
Xbox
there's the
better.
feet on the side.
Nah.
I like that simplistic design to it. It's
yeah, I've never been an Xbox guy just because I grew up. I started with the PS2 and then just went on and just never really
I started
transferred
with
over.
the Nintendo 64.
see, I think
Ooh.
I started with Super Nintendo.
I started with Nintendo. Technically, I started with the Atari 2600. I don't know. I think since the first Xbox, like I've kind of like flip flopped every generation. Like
Yeah.
I was always a PlayStation guy, and the first Xbox I didn't really care about, and then when the 360 came out, I wanted to play Gears of War, so I got the 360.
Yeah.
and
I'll
I
say
totally avoided the PS3.
PS4 had the better exclusives though. I think all around
Agreed.
in this generation because
I-
you got Spider-Man.
PS4 had the better everything for this generation. They
Yeah.
had the better hardware. They had the better launch. They had the biggest thing with the PS4 was the biggest thing that hurt the Xbox One is what they were calling it.
Yeah, that was
First off,
that
it's
was
a
this
stupid
generation.
name. Like Xbox has never. First off, the name Xbox 360, like we all made fun of it when it came out because we're like, so you're it's just the Xbox.
Yeah.
Because if you had called it the Xbox 180, at least you were kind of like, oh, okay, like, yeah, you did something different. 360 just means you went around in a complete circle and went back to where you were. Like, that's a stupid name for a system. Anyway.
Even now, like all the revisions, like Xbox One S and
Yeah.
this and like,
Wasn't there one between Xbox 360 and Xbox One, or am I just?
No, they
No.
changed the system because the original Xbox 360, there were so many hardware issues with it. It kept failing.
Oh,
So
okay.
they had to revamp the entire system. And they also changed how the hard drives worked, too.
which is normal for every system these days now, where everything gets a reworking, like
Yeah.
2 to 3 years into it.
Yeah,
um,
but Xbox, like, that was a whole new system,
for the most
essentially.
part, yeah.
But so yeah, so the Xbox One, one of the first things that they did right before E3, because I remember this, because me and my friends used to all get together for E3 when they would do the press conferences. Xbox wanted to announce the Xbox before E3. So they had their own separate conference before E3, and everyone was like, they're like, yeah, we're going to start requiring DRM codes. And for anyone who plays PC, a DRM code, for everyone else there who plays PC, you know what they are. For everyone else, DRM codes are basically our one-time use codes for your game. So you put the disc in for the Xbox One, you put the code in, and that disc can never be used on any other system again. That's what they wanted to do.
Oh.
They wanted to make it like a PC game. So that way you were going to force everyone to go buy the game instead of like sharing your games. And if you wanted to share your game, you had to have a list of of 10 people on your system that you could share it digitally with, but they only got it for a limited time before they had to go buy it. So then when Sony had their press conference at E3, they're like, yeah, we're doing all this stuff, and we're doing all these things, and now we're going to talk to you about how the games are going to work and how you can share your games with your friends. And they did an entire video, and it comes up, and it's literally two guys from Sony, like I think it was like the designer of PlayStation 4 and like the president of Sony, and they're like, this is how you share your game. And he hands the disc to his friend, and his friend goes, thank you.
And that's
such
it.
Such nice manners.
And then, literally the next day, because I was also working at GameStop at the time, we had people flooding in, pre-ordering the PS4. Like,
nice.
we had like limited people pre-ordering Xbox.
That's amazing though.
Oh.
Do you remember when Microsoft tried to make that game about the little boy that you could like talk to? It was this thing that Microsoft tried to do for Xbox, where they tried to make a game where it was like a boy, like a virtual boy that you could talk to and have conversations with, kind of like Siri or something like that. Like you could interact with him. Like that was kind of what the Kinect thing was supposed to do.
I don't like
but
this.
it just like disappeared.
Good.
At some point, they just canceled the project.
Oh, that's the other thing. That's why they did that too. when they revamped the Xbox 360 because they made that stupid Kinect thing.
Yeah.
I remember
And-
playing that.
Yeah, but you couldn't use either you couldn't use it on the regular Xbox 360 or you had to buy extra hardware to hook it up to your original
Yeah.
360.
Also, you couldn't have anybody within like 6 feet of you, or that thing would lock on to
Oh, yeah.
different people in the room. Like it was so complicated. You had to wave your hand for like 5 minutes for it to lock on.
Do you remember the original 360? Like when it first came out, like it couldn't even play DVDs. Like you had to get a DVD drive for it as well.
That I
Yep.
remember.
Yep.
That ridiculous.
Yep.
I
That
know.
was a big thing. I remember the only problem with PlayStation 3, like the biggest problem was that because it was all new technology. Like it
We
was
have
all-
the technology.
We can
it was
build
like
it.
it was all 100% brand new technology that they created proprietarily, and people hated making games for it. That was like the biggest problem with PS3 because they were just like, we have to use a completely different system to make games.
That's almost every system.
Right.
Though. Like
No, well, the thing was is that you had normally like PlayStation 2 and Xbox, the systems were similar enough, at least the game engines, where you didn't have to do a lot of work to put them on both systems.
yeah, yeah.
PlayStation 3, with all the stuff, especially considering it was the first Blu-ray player, because I think PlayStation 3 launched before they actually launched regular in-home Blu-ray players.
Well, that was and that's why it's sold so well.
Yeah.
And because
Milo.
it was cheaper too to buy.
That was the
PS3.
thing.
Was the name of the
Yeah.
boy.
I
Yeah,
don't
it was
remember
Milo, the virtual boy. That
This
you
is
could,
uncomfortable.
like Ray. Yep. It was
So-
like
I
a
don't
whole
like the fact
thing.
they called him the Virtual Boy.
Milo the
Considering
virtual
Nintendo already
boy.
had the Virtual Boy.
Yeah. But so like that was a big thing, and then when they did the PS4, the first thing Sony did was they went to all the game developers and were like, "What do you want us to put into the system?" And that's what they put in it. They put a whole then they found like the best versions of the technology and put that in their system. And they got so many deals and so many things going on with the PS4 when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that system was that's probably the best PlayStation system they've put out.
See, I think too, like a lot of the kind of cooler systems that were out there were like always hard to develop for. The N64,
Yeah,
Sega
but
Saturn was super hard to develop for.
Dreamcast.
I think Dreamcast was easy.
I just wanted to go back.
because Microsoft did
Yeah.
everything for that.
Well, no, and the thing was is that actually Nintendo 64 really wasn't that hard to develop for. What was hard to develop for was the one that came before it, was the Jaguar, because that was
I don't
the
even
first.
remember that.
That was the first 64-bit system, and
That wasn't really even 64 bits.
but the thing was is that no one was going to make games for it. It was expensive, and they really weren't making those kinds of games. The Jaguar failed, and then a couple of years later, Nintendo put out the Nintendo 64,
Dude,
and Nintendo
Neat.
switched everything over to that technology, and that's how.
dude, I miss EB Games.
Oh,
Me too.
EB Games was before
EB
your time?
Games?
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring in my
Maybe?
Atari Jaguar this weekend.
Was that a system?
It was a
thing?
store.
It was a store.
Oh,
It was before Game Boy.
Yeah.
Electronics Boutique.
Before my
Yeah.
before my
E-
time.
EB
Electronics Boutique.
was amazing. I loved
Yeah.
that store.
Oh, speaking of the PS4, I did pre-order the Avengers game, bringing it back to comics a little bit. They had their beta recently, coming out with mixed reviews, but they also released the character trailer for the next character they're adding into the game, which is
Drumroll?
Hawkeye.
Eh.
They're bringing in Hawkeye.
Did you hear the other news too? Spider-Man's gonna be in it now.
I heard, but I heard that's only a rumor
I
for now. Like that hasn't been confirmed. I'd like it to happen, but I don't know if it's because
Well-
it seems like it could be in canon because canonically in the Spider-Man game they're like the Avengers are opening up their West Coast headquarters, and that's where you start in the
Oh,
Avengers
do they
game.
include that?
They're opening up their West Coast thing, and they're like
Sorry,
the
I thought you meant
Avengers.
in Spider-Man they reference that the Avengers are.
Yeah, they are.
They
Oh,
reference.
okay.
Yeah, in,
Yeah, no,
in
but-
Spider-Man, that's like the explanation for why the Avengers aren't there. Like, the Fantastic Four off-world, and the X-Men are in Westchester, and the Avengers are opening up their West Coast headquarters, which is where you pick up in the Avengers
Yeah.
game. They're like having a day parade, and then they get attacked, and everything goes to crap. And then I think it's like 2 years later after everything goes to crap. And now AIM is everywhere, and AIM's the big popular thing that they're doing. So, you know, we'll see. And like, I know MODOK's gonna be like a big villain, not the only one.
No, he is. He's the.
He's
main
the
villain.
I think he's the main villain. They said one of, so I don't know if what's gonna end up happening with that, but yeah, I'm excited for it because it's from what it looks like. The online version is kind of gonna work like an Overwatch thing, but not like a versing each other, like just doing missions together with up to 4 players. It looks like because that was what the beta was, or at least it wasn't online, but you could do a few missions from the gameplay.
I don't feel, and maybe I'm just an old, like, curmudgeon when it comes to this. I don't need my games to be online. I don't need to talk, like...
I agree.
Like...
I don't need children cursing at me.
Well, see, that
for
was
hours.
the thing. I bought Resident Evil 6, and in Resident Evil 6, you can actually physically assault zombies. Like, you could beat the hell out of them with your fist, and you can leg kick them and all this jazz. And I was just having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And apparently someone joined my game, and they were like, use your ammo, asshole. And I'm like, who is this?
Well, that's what.
Why is the computer
You can-
talking to me?
You can turn that off.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. I didn't know it was online when I bought it.
That's
Yeah.
the fun. See, I wasn't a fan of the online thing because of that, and I don't like talking to random people online.
Yeah.
However, I do like the new feature where you could just be in a party with your friends, and you
Yeah,
could be
that-
in the
that would be
private voice
different.
chat, and that's what I do. So that's the only reason I like the online
Yeah.
stuff is I just play with my friends.
I also have a setting on my PS4 where I literally turn the setting to
Never.
offline. Like I'm connected online, but I always have my profile set to offline.
So
I don't-
nobody knows
so
that you're
no one
on.
ever knows I'm on.
Nice.
I'm like, I just don't need that.
No.
Like, I literally want to like I play video games because I want to just like I want to murder things.
Yep.
And just
Hard fact.
don't want to deal with people because
Right.
people suck.
One of my earliest endeavors with like online play for video games was Resident Evil Outbreak, which is just a fun game. I'm not going to say it's a survival game. Like there's an overarching story, but none of it matters. The cool part about that game though was you got to use anything as a weapon pretty much. My personal favorite was the lead pipe. I was a big fan of a lead pipe.
Nice.
Yeah, you could actually play that game with not having to do it online.
Yeah, but I didn't know at that time.
Well, you
Yeah.
did. Well, I know. I'm sorry. You had to be online, but you didn't have to let people play the game
No.
with you. And the other thing too, like that was another annoying thing. Like when PS2 had that, they came out with the hard because you needed the hard drive
Uh-huh.
for that game too, and that was like another expense. And, you know, PS2 came out when I was a kid, so I didn't have a job. So it was like I was like my parents' workhorse for like an entire summer just to get the things I needed to play the stupid game.
All you needed a PS2 for was Baldur's Gate 2.
and
Metal Gear.
and Orphan.
Orphan was okay. I didn't really like Metal Gear. And I know that's a whole nother conversation.
Remember when we started this or before we started recording, and Devin's like, "No, it's gaming news. It's gaming news." Will, what time are we at?
28:45.
Okay, so we've spent a half hour talking about video games. That's not a problem. I have no issue with that. But you were like, "There's no news. There's video game news. No one's gonna care."
I mean, it wasn't really news, but we just kind of went into the topic. But, you know, I think it's gotten better. From what I understand, it's gotten better. This is the Avengers game. It's gotten better feedback than Ultimate Alliance did. Ultimate Alliance 3, I think it didn't do very
Yeah,
well.
but Ultimate Alliance 3 really isn't Ultimate Alliance. Like, did you ever play the Ultimate Alliance games?
I played the second one.
What
Yeah,
is
it's-
Ultimate Alliance?
It's like the X-Men Legends game.
Oh,
Where you
okay.
get
No,
like a-
because the X-Men Legends is like DC Universe Online, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
X-Men Legends was the precursor to Ultimate Alliance,
Oh.
where you had the 4-man team, where you pick the different characters to team up
Yeah.
together.
Oh, I remember playing this. I think for GameCube. They looked like Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
X-Men. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Who
then
made those?
Activision. I think Activision even made X-Men Legends.
See, that's the only thing with this new game. Like, I was kind of interested because of Square Enix
Yeah.
making it and all. But
It's
like,
going to be
I-
a beautiful looking game with a
I
banging
feel like
opening
at the
trailer.
same time though, like
Mhm.
Square Enix has fallen very far
Have
from what
they?
they were.
Dude, it takes them like 15 years to do one game now.
Spider-Man wasn't
Well,
Square Enix, was it?
No, that was Insomniac.
Yeah, that's why everyone was like, "Is Spider-Man going to be in it?" Because it's a different game, but you could make it work story-wise for him to be in the game. So
Well,
we'll see.
Marvel's big about their shared universe stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I don't
especially
see
now.
them putting out video games that aren't a shared universe anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It is possible the way they narratively like set it up
I mean,
in
really,
Spider-Man.
really, they don't need the Insomniac people. All they need is the voice actor.
Well, I think
Yep.
at the same time too, they might only be licensing out like one game at a time, not a property
Yeah.
like this. You just get to use this.
Yeah,
You get a
for the one
you get a
game at a
Namor
time.
game. You get a.
I'm sure
It could
Marvel
be.
has learned about licensing things out at this point.
Yeah, no, I think because
Yeah, now that they've got everything, they're like very like, we're not giving you this forever, like a thing where you got to make a movie to keep it, because Lord knows Fox was just making those movies to hang on to those rights
it's
for
fine.
Fantastic Four.
And the thing is that after watching all of that happen, DC and Warner Brothers and AT&T have learned nothing, and they're just gonna start licensing everything out like they've been.
Because
doing.
they're trying to, because wasn't Shazam supposed to be like a it wasn't technically a license because it was a subsidiary of Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
but that was technically a different.
But that's like, but look,
company.
I mean, but look at Supergirl. That was originally on CBS.
Yeah,
Yeah, they licensed that out.
and
The only-
CBS was like, take it back.
Yeah, they were like, we don't want this. It's too much money.
Yeah.
Like between all the money we're paying you for the license and then the money we have to dump into the show, we're not doing this anymore. This is stupid.
I love the internet's pure hatred for that show on effects alone because it just looks awful. Everything they do.
I want to always just go on record as to say, I actually really loved season 1.
I don't think it's the best show,
No,
but
but
I
I
also don't
enjoyed
think
it.
it's the worst show.
And I found in season 1, I found her endearing, and I found her to be
Yeah.
a rootable
Season 1
character.
was fun. I thought
And
season
then
1 was good.
When they came to CW and they morphed it into the CW superhero nonsense, I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And I just found Supergirl to be endlessly entertaining. Endlessly annoying.
Yeah,
Every season, she just got progressively, and I want it to succeed. I want it to do well. It is not my cup of tea.
No, it has its like target,
Yeah,
and it's
and I am-
only for them.
and
like
I am
no one
unfortunately
outside of
not
it. Yeah, only
because I'd like to be. but
yeah,
I'm not.
You remember when people used to like make shows and stuff so everyone could enjoy them?
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
But speaking of TV shows, I finally caught up on Star Trek Discovery.
Would you say that everyone enjoys that, or was that made for a target audience?
It's made for people who don't like Star Trek. It's
Oh.
made for people that want to see stuff get blown up.
Okay.
Like that's what that show's for.
So
Does Michael
Bay
Bay
did it?
yeah.
I was just gonna say
Yeah,
Does
it's
Mi-
kind of like a Michael Bay, J.J. Abrams
Scott
kind
Snyder.
of thing.
So he made sure he gave everybody.
Yeah,
weird
Scott Snyder,
noses,
because the
too,
story
like in
makes
TMNT.
zero sense.
Okay.
Yeah, just like it's not the worst thing in the world, but like in terms of like a Star Trek thing, it's definitely like not the best.
How's Picard
Even
make
close.
you feel?
I know what happens in Picard, and it makes me angry, but I don't want to say it sucks because I haven't watched it, but I know every story beat that I know I think is stupid, but I want to watch them execute it
can
poorly
we
in front
also-
of me.
Can we also talk about like here's one of the things like that kind of like annoys me about Picard, and actually like Steve, I think you brought this up too
Uh-oh.
because of who's the character the one that transfers from body to body, Worf's wife.
Oh, Dax.
Dax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jadzia.
The
and then
Trill.
what's-
Jadzia, and then it's
Okay.
Esma?
Ezra.
Ezra.
Esri
Esri.
So
Dax.
here's my thing, like everything now, like Picard, they made a big deal about 7 of 9 being like officially like a lesbian now.
Bisexual,
Something.
I'm gonna say.
Like they're like, oh,
okay
because
with
she
that.
was big into Chakotay.
No, she wasn't. It was shoved down your throats in the last 3
No, I know it was.
episodes of
okay,
Voyager.
It was bad writing.
hold on,
It was
hold on.
bad writing. But
wait,
they
wait.
did get together.
So we've got that where clearly the first person was Dax, right?
Dax is technically officially
Canonically, yeah.
is the first openly bisexual and considered transgender character in Star Trek.
Okay. So like we just
I
had like
almost
we
said
had a
Star
big thing.
Wars.
So
Yeah.
hey, spoilers everybody out there who's like
Hasn't
for
watched Deep Space.
well for Empire because this is a big thing. Like this is articles. These are the things that are annoying me. So now we're all like now everyone's harping on this thing. Like they just dropped a bomb about Hulkling and Wiccan again. Spoiler alert. They're married now? They had a wedding. Which we haven't seen yet.
Which pisses me off that
Which-
we haven't
yeah.
seen it.
Well, here's the
Neat.
thing. Huh?
Is that neat? Good for them.
No, no,
I
no.
guess?
But now everyone online is going, yeah, it's the first Marvel gay wedding, which it's not.
No.
It actually happened years ago, 10, 15 years ago in X-Men with
Astonishing.
North Star.
Oh,
North
I
Star
believe
actually-
it was astonishing 150.
that's strange.
No, 50.
50? Okay,
Astonishing
I'm sorry.
50. Yeah, no, but that's the thing. I was like, okay, everything that's happening now, just because, like, everybody who isn't fans of this stuff, it's the first time they're seeing it, they're putting all this out, like, oh, this is the first blah, blah, blah character, and this is the first thing, and the... No, it's not. You just all haven't been around.
Yeah.
Like, actually, like, maybe research crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's just like I guess they were not as informed as they should be.
Like, that was, like, one of my biggest problems with Bendis. Like, oh, we're making a big deal of the fact that Bobby's gay. He's the first real gay X-Man.
No.
North Star.
That's one of the biggest. That's one of the biggest, and the popular term to use is queer baiting that
Yeah.
I've ever seen Marvel do.
First off, I'm actually to the point now where they have it, like, to the point in the story. Like, if you read the story, you can just argue that Jean mind raped him into being gay. The way she tells him, she's like, you're gay. And Bobby's like, well, no, I'm not. You're gay. Like, she's, like, forcing her thoughts into his head.
I
Like,
feel
it's a
like
messed
I don't
up
feel like
scene.
I don't feel like they'd go that route though. That's a little.
But this is the thing. For Bendis to say what you will about Bendis, for the most part, in his time at Marvel, not so much DC, he is very good at building character. The story may suck, but it's a character-driven story.
Right.
So, as a gay man, what drives me massively insane about that issue and that moment in particular is the fact that you literally put no work into it.
Uh-huh.
You, as a reader for however many years, you didn't do anything to turn around and make me go, oh, you know what? All right. Like, there was no progression. It was just, let me hit you in the face with this and force you to accept it.
Yeah, it was. I want to write about a gay character, but
you didn't
the
even do
character
anything.
needs to be popular enough to sell books.
Well, and
so I'm gonna just
and
flip
here's
somebody.
didn't
but
do
here's the
anything,
here's the
though.
even worse part about it. The worst part about that whole thing was even after that happened, in the other X-Men books, you had adult Bobby
Well,
who was walking around, and they're like, Bobby's not gay, and he's like, no, I'm not gay. Yeah, but Young Yu's gay,
oh, I guess that means
And he's
he's
like-
gay too.
and then he's like, huh? I guess I'm gay. Like,
yeah.
that's not really how that works.
Yeah, that's not.
like. And first off, like,
That's so insensitive.
and
The
honestly,
fact that no one gets, like, I'm the fact that no one gets angry about this.
Yeah. Well, I think
Infuriates
Iceman. I think they did get some backlash for Iceman.
I don't think
They were like,
got
no,
Not
the-
enough.
no, because the same thing happened then that happens now. Everyone who got mad about it, they were homophobes, or they're this, or they're that. Because I remember the articles.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, you took a classic X-Men character of 60 plus years and just randomly made him gay.
Yeah.
You
Well,
queer
but that's-
baited
but
to
that's the
get
same thing with a
more
lot of characters.
readers.
Like all of a sudden they have to be black or they have to be women or why not just make new characters?
Yeah.
That's
You
what bothers
you
me
had
about it. It's that
prominent
simple.
gay characters in X-Men.
It's
Prodigy,
what the
a Knoll,
Mystique.
Yeah.
Mystique. No, I'm just going new, just to kind
When
of
did
bounce off
Richter
what
and
Jared was-
Shatterstar become gay? Because I never remember.
A random issue of X Factor.
They kiss each other, but there are moments in New Mutants, more so with Richter, where it's heavily implied.
Because like the whole like I kind of
Shatterstar
read that
is
whole
random.
Shatterstar thing where like he technically had no like
Yeah.
He's like asexual. I thought.
yeah it was something like that. It's like, I don't
Shatterstar
get this.
is a rando, but if you go back a little bit, especially when Louise Simonson is writing New Mutants, it's implied that Richter is at least bisexual.
Because
Because
companies.
That's when they couldn't
Yeah.
bluntly say it.
Well, that's the thing. I just
but
feel
again,
like
like,
in that like
you-
few years that like I didn't collect. Well, I say a few years, but it was probably like close to 10 years. It's like I came back and like all these X-Men that had never been mentioned as gay before were, and it was like, why? When did this become like a big thing? Because there was always like the
Yeah.
you know the 90210 love triangles and all of these comics,
Well-
but like never like. It's all of a sudden we're just gonna do this, and like I thought to myself, is that just
Well,
so we
that's
can
again
gain
like this is the
readers?
biggest problem, the biggest disappointment I have with the big two companies right now is the pandering, is the we need to grab a demographic storytelling. It's not about telling great stories. It's not about giving us great art. It's not about expanding the universe. It's about, okay, how can we use the same old popular characters but also grab a new demographic?
Yeah, well, that's like the company policy at this point, which it shouldn't be. It's very wrong and insensitive to do so, and
I find it
is
insulting.
like when they find a character and they're like, we got all these characters, but they're all like straight white dude.
Yeah.
Like we gotta, I don't know, just flip somebody. It's queer baiting or it's race baiting. Like it's just like insensitive, and it's not good storytelling to just be like, they're gay now. Like what? That's not how like sexuality works.
No. And that's the other thing too.
You
like,
don't stay closeted for 60 years. Like it wasn't even that he was closeted. He just wasn't gay.
Well,
and then he
and
was.
And here's the other thing too. This is the other thing. So anyone who's read X-Men, okay, I could even understand if like maybe if Bobby was like a little metro, like where he was like more like, and by metro I mean like metrosexual, like where he was like where he's very like not macho and he's not like effeminate, but he's kind of like in the middle, and you could kind of be like, oh, okay, like yeah, I guess I could kind of see like how this would have turned out. Bobby is literally
the thirstiest straight man that ever.
well, he's a womanizer. He's straight up like he's going after girl after girl after girl, like, and like he's the X-Men equivalent of Barney from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
You couldn't have chosen a worse X-Man to retcon the sexuality of that.
Let's go through Bobby's list of
His body count. You
His
want to
body
drop his
count.
body count?
So we have Polaris. He was dating a reporter for a while that I cannot think of her name for some reason.
Did he ever hook up with Rogue or Shadowcat in the comics?
He hooks up with them in the Ultimate Universe.
Well, he can't hook up with Rogue.
He can't hook up with Rogue.
No
Well,
one can hook up
right.
with Rogue.
Mystique. Let's all not forget about Mystique.
Oh yeah.
He dated
Yeah.
That cover.
He's
He
dated Mystique
dates
for a
Mystique
while.
For a minute.
She's
She's
actually
like mad older than him, though, isn't she? Oh
Yeah.
no.
No, she is.
she
Oh,
is,
yeah.
but
she
she
can
can
look
also
sexy
look
all
like
the
whatever
time.
she wants.
Well, she
Oh
can
my
look like a
God.
man. So
So
You're
no, but like
welcome.
no, it's actually funny when because when Mystique turns on the X-Men, she's like he's the only character that goes out of her way to be like, she knocks him out and she like hides him because she's like, nah, I don't want Bobby to get hurt. She's like yeah,
That's
Bobby
cute,
like
but that's also like
it's
a little
weird.
predatory.
But see, no, this is the problem, though. There is a history of LGBTQ. I'm not doing the plus. LGBTQ characters.
You forgot
that
the P.
You know, there's a number.
Get out, you wretched piece of garbage.
You know, there's a number.
There's
number-
a number now.
Number 2. Well, it's always like in the
Oh,
full name. I looked
God.
this up years ago. It represents the 2 souls entrapped within a person. This is based on or is a Native American belief
Yes.
where someone has 2 souls trapped in their body. It's basically like DID,
Yeah.
dissociative personality disorder, but it's
There's-
Anyway,
yeah.
okay.
No,
I
there's
don't think
more
we're in
to that.
Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
However,
Anyway, so you were saying, Steve.
you have all these characters where like I'm sorry, if you want to give me a gay book, if you want to give me a bisexual book. Mystique hasn't had her own book in what, about 20 years? 15?
Yeah.
15, 20 years at least?
Like,
Yeah, roughly.
I guess, yeah, about 15 years.
You know, you could give me a Mystique book. Personally, I would love a Wicked and Hulkling book. Preferably a miniseries, because I don't think I need that to drag on. But, like, you know, this is...
the problem is they don't even care.
No.
They're just like, this character's gay, so let's make a miniseries to just get these
here's
people.
the thing. The other thing I was saying before about Bobby. So, you know, so now Bobby's gay. Okay, fine. Why is Bobby all of a sudden changed his entire personality to this shy, like, weak character?
You really just want to make my blood pressure go up tonight, don't you?
No, I'm asking a serious question. Like seriously.
Because don't you know when you come out as gay, you, like, burn up all your courage, and now you're just a weak little bitch for the rest of your life?
Yeah, gay men can only be little sissy boys.
We
So
can only,
there-
we
so-
can only be
so there-
femme,
So there you
overly
go. Like,
flamboyant
how is this not
nonsenses.
insulting to the community at large?
Oh, it is.
It's not, though. It's not supposed to be.
Yeah, it's because the
Everything
company,
I'm
the
saying
people
is
that run the
dripped in
companies are just
sarcasm.
like, I don't know, I think they'll like this. Like, they don't care.
I
They
mean,
just think
no.
like, oh, we got to get the gays to buy our books.
well,
Let's
here you
just
go.
Well,
put out
no.
a miniseries.
Look, in all honesty, look at television or movies right now.
Yeah.
The gay character is always an overly effeminate,
It's a stereotype.
girlish body looking man or child.
Well, what about the black guy in Kimmy Schmidt?
With the exception of Titus, but he's still
Superly
overly
effeminate. Yeah.
But he
Oh, that's
he
the
is-
power of Ponce, baby.
Yeah.
That's him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's now the new Power of Pine Sol.
Get out of here! Really?
He is.
Actually, his
I like his
starting-
commercials.
No, his first commercial.
Yeah.
They bring back the original Power of Pine Sol lady, and they do it together.
Nice.
So it was actually really cute.
That's cool. Like the passing of the torch.
Yeah,
Kinda, that's nice.
It was actually cute.
P.S. Don't put pine sol on wood.
I got concerned with where you were going with that.
I thought it was made for wood.
No, Pine Sol.
Well, yes, wax is not good for wood though. That's just been like a fallacy over the last like 70 years. It's an old people thing.
It is.
You put wax on wood, it doesn't actually clean it.
But you have
It just traps dirt in.
Gotcha.
you
But it's shiny dirt.
then look at lesbian in pop culture. Now,
I
in
will.
pop culture,
Oh, the
you get
manly.
you get two different types of lesbian. At least you get two different types. In pop culture, you have the quote unquote man hating dyke, or you have the lipstick lesbian, the super pretty,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's the one I
at least lesbians get two different categories that would be represented. Bisexual, God, Melissa should have been here for this because I was just talking with her
No,
about
you're.
this.
But you're wrong though.
Go on.
Gay men do get the other representation.
What's the other representation?
The other representation is closeted, over
Yes.
masculine people in prison who rape the people who aren't gay.
That is true.
Those are your two options
Uh-huh.
for males in.
Yeah.
Which again, Luke Cage. That was a weird thing.
What?
The thing with
Refresh my drink.
what's the guy Shades and his buddy. Remember, because
Yes.
Shades, that was a weird thing
that-
that just kind of came out of nowhere.
See, I disagree with that sentence.
Okay.
I'm really disclaimer because I'm just gonna say what I want to say, and then I'll backpedal and apologize later. In that community, it is looked down upon. So it made sense for Shades to be as closeted as he
Yeah, but
was.
here's my question though. But was like,
Do we get where I'm
but
saying? Because I'm trying to. I'm
is
trying
that?
to put it politically
But is that
correct.
is that a,
Well-
is that a, hold on? Is that really like is that a straight up thing?
Yes.
Like like what happens in prison stays in prison? Like
Not so much what happened. Take out the prison aspect of it. In that area and in that culture, it is seemed as less than still.
Yeah.
okay
Because remember, they were friends before they went.
to prison,
prison.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if in fact Shades had this recollection or idea of, I forget what the guy's name
I don't
was.
remember what he shoots him though.
He shoots him. I fucking love Shades. God, I love that actor. I do.
I never really understood why he was macking it with Mariah though. That was
Power.
weird. Yeah, but that was just so uncomfortable.
That's a power. That's it's supposed to be. But like in Shades' world, he would have lost everything. He would have lost whatever street cred he had. He would have lost whatever power he had accumulated under not Mariah. What is Cottonmouth? Cottonmouth. He would have lost all of that power just because he was gay or bisexual. Because you could argue that Shades is indeed bisexual.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, it's just I want like a clear representation of everyone. Like, yes, I'm an effeminate man. However, I don't look like I am a hairless Ken doll.
Yeah.
And I'm also not like this super like hot daddy brawny, plaid wearing son of a bitch either.
Yeah.
Apparently Jeremy is.
Yeah.
No, I just like that's the thing though. Like, and you're right though. Every time you see anything like that, they're always very. And the other thing too is like, I don't understand why gay men in media are portrayed as weak as they are, but every lesbian that they portray in media is like this. I'm gonna take charge. I'm gonna bust up every man I see. Character.
I also want to I'm gonna say this now. If anyone feels generous enough,
Omar, The Wire.
I've never actually seen The Wire.
I haven't watched The Wire.
Oh, you guys should watch.
If
It's
anyone,
addicting.
if anyone listening disagrees with this comment, I would very much love a comment in any section of what character you think defies everything we've said, and I will personally go and watch whatever TV or movie it is, just for my own understanding. With that being said, I want to point out there are struggle characters that are not weak. He's referred to, I believe, as the boy in the movie Moonlight. So
that won the Oscar.
That is a very lovely movie. That is one of the few gay movies that does not enrage me with everything I have.
I wanted to see that. Everyone was like
brilliant.
raving about it.
And the fun part about that movie, and this is just a side like cinematic nerdy thing, it's 3 different actors playing the same character at a different point of this man's life.
Right.
The timeline of it flows beautifully, and all 3 of the actors are believable as the same character. They never met. And I just thought that was so weird.
Oh, just because they were all filming on different day, like they never.
No, they never interacted until the premiere of the movie.
That's interesting.
And I just thought it was really interesting to take these vignette moments in this guy's life, this character's life, lump them with 3 different actors, and it literally feels like the same character you start with growing up.
Is it a true story?
It is a play. I don't know if it's a true story.
Okay.
Yeah,
But yes, anyone wants to comment? Like,
there
are. I would love to know.
I mean, there are, characters that do break the mold, but they're few and far in between. It's usually the sassy gay best friend, or you don't.
Actually, let me comment on that. I am going to contradict myself right now. God, I hate the fact I'm about to say this sentence. The Glee actress that just passed.
Yeah.
I would also add her to that list.
Like her character?
She's bisexual in Glee. And I actually very much like her journey.
Yeah.
Where Kurt, I love him as a person. I think he's so adorable. I hated his character in Glee.
Mm-hmm.
I hated this character with everything I had in me.
Oh, I didn't frequent Glee, so I don't know.
I was forced upon
what
me.
What you're referencing. But to turn it back to Star Trek. Speaking of sexuality, there is this.
That's a long walk off a short pier.
Yeah, there was this really Steven, I want you to hear this though.
Go on.
There was this really weird scene. So you know how like the captain in the pilot was killed off, and then they bring her back through the mirror universe, through the retcon of them meeting in the mirror universe. So she comes back and she works for Section 31. I'll get into that later.
Is this Discovery still?
Yeah, this is Discovery. and she has a scene with. So you know how the engineer and the doctor are married, their husbands.
You know I haven't seen this, right? I don't even know these.
You don't know anything. So the husband and the engineer and the doctor are married. They're two men. They're married.
Yes, I did know this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they so they meet her. She comes down and she starts hitting on the engineer, and the doctor shows up and she's like, he's gay, and she's like, well, in my universe he's pansexual, and he's like, well, in this universe and
He's
any
gay.
universe I know about, I am gay. And she's like, huh, meh, and she walks out, and it's a really awkward scene because like everybody in the mirror universe is like fucking everything and everyone.
Well, hold on. I want to just point out, I really think
X-Men?
I think the mirror universe is the gayest universe that ever existed.
Yeah, because
Kinda like
Kira
how-
in the mirror universe is bi.
Oh no. Kira's just hard up to touch herself. Like, that whole thing, that...
You're like really far away from the mic, by
Oh,
the way.
sorry. Kira's just hard up to touch herself. That's literally what that is.
She's just
Okay.
trying to screw everybody that comes
it's
across.
very-
Also, is the mirror universe like? Does everyone in the mirror universe have sleeveless shirts and are just ripped?
No.
No,
like-
it's not
like
like a thing
Jeremy?
in the Mirror Universe episode. That's just like a Kirk thing,
Yeah, that's-
and then in Discovery, I guess it might be a nod.
Well, no, because don't they also do that in the mirror comics? Isn't Picard like shirt like doesn't he
All
have,
the
like,
captains get a special sleeveless shirt.
Perfect.
All the commanding officers, because
the
I think Riker
exception-
gets ones
hold
too.
that thought.
Does Janeway have a sleeveless shirt? Is she
I don't
ripped?
remember.
I know Cisco does not. When Cisco's in the mirror universe,
Oh, yeah,
he is
but-
not
but-
when he's space pirate.
Yeah, but when you show up to the Mirror Universe in the Discover or in the Deep Space Nine show, the Terran Empire's already been dismantled.
Yeah.
Because Spock went like, I want to be good now, and like made them weak so that the Klingon Cardassian
that's
and
right, it is
somebody
the
else
Klingon
alliance like
Cardassian.
took over.
Oh, God.
And that's where Worf is. That's why Worf never joins the crew in the Mirror Universe, because he stays on Kronos and becomes like a Klingon general. He actually becomes the emperor of the
Yes.
alliance between the Klingons and the Cardassians.
Cardassians.
That includes Bajor.
Weirdly enough, that episode actually made me really like Kira.
You hadn't liked Kira to that point?
No,
Oh, wow.
it's
I thought she was fine.
Kira grows on you like an ugly redheaded stepchild. That's Kira for me.
Yeah, I think she had her issues in like season 1.
She
but,
gets progressively better.
but
you
I
were
actually
saying.
yeah, just putting that out there to end that discussion. That was a really weirdly like uncomfortable scene to like sit through, because they were like, well, because she's like still hitting on him, and they're like, he's gay, stop. And it's just like the
Weird.
conversation's just a weird conversation to have.
Odd.
But I wrote a list in my phone of everything Star Trek Discovery retcons. If you want me to go down.
Can I make my coffee now?
Sure. Yeah, you can keep going. I can keep just I can talk about what I like while
I
you make
commend
your
a
coffee.
5-minute recess.
Oh, did you want to take a 5-minute break?
I think
We're taking
so.
a 5-minute recess.
All right.
The gavel's
I'm
already
gonna
been struck.
I'm gonna pause.
Gavel's been
All right.
All right, so Will, what's this list of discrepancies in Star Trek Discovery? Is this season 1 and 2 or just season 2?
Season 1 and 2, I just put everything at the beginning. Obviously, Spock having an adopted sister that he never talks about. They talk about why he doesn't later. The hologram technology, teleporting ships, because that's the whole like plot of the show. They've got the tardigrade. They jump through dimensions and make warp travel literally unnecessary. The discovery of the mirror universe before Kirk did it. Time crystals are invented in the second season. Now, granted, there are tons of ways to time travel in the Star Trek universe. There's a portal, there's a living portal on a planet that Kirk finds in the original series. You can literally just spin around the sun really fast in the reverse rotation, and it'll just take you back in time wherever you want to go.
What Superman movie was that in?
The
Four.
first one.
And he flew around the Earth, not the sun.
That was the first one.
I thought it was the fourth.
No, it's the first one.
Oh, okay.
The
Either
first
way,
Superman movie.
he flew around the Earth. They fly around the sun. But it's dumb and it's stupid, but I mean it works. But no, they had to invent a new version of time travel, which leads to also, because as we know, Pike is introduced in the second season, which is fun. I
Well,
like
he's
him.
introduced at the end of the first season.
You don't see him though.
Oh,
You just see the Enterprise, and then they cast him later. He was fun. He was a lot of fun in the season. But in his endeavor to get the time crystal, because it's all about time travel, he grabs it and knows his future. So he knows that he gets wrecked in that accident, and he's like, if you take it, you're like, there's no way of getting out. And he's like, all right. And he just takes it. So he's fully aware that on that day he will become like a stuck in a wheelchair, horribly disfigured.
Yeah, but Spock's gonna keep his promise to him though.
Yeah, he doesn't know about that part. Like
What's
he
the
doesn't see that in
promise?
his vision.
Spock brings him to the.
Telosian planet.
don't
The
know.
people of the in that episode, or no, it's in an earlier episode, because Star Trek Discovery, at least season 2, takes place after the cage, because in the episode where they go back to Talos, they play you clips from the cage at the beginning, so you know, like, this already happened. So when she shows up in a because Spock is all messed up because he. It's really convoluted.
Use your words.
But basically, Michael Burnham, the main character, you find out her mom is alive and a time traveler. And she showed up to Spock, and Spock mind melded with her, and visions of the future, like, screwed him up. And so to fix him, she takes him to Talos, the mind people from the Cage episode. And so that becomes a whole thing, and then, like, so they kind of retcon that, like, he interacted with them again, and Spock is cool with them, but they don't outright say, like, if anything ever happens to you, I'll bring you back. Because they also establish that Pike is still into the girl he met in there. But, yeah, that's a whole thing. He doesn't know that Spock takes him. And also Spock takes him against his will, kind of? Because, in the episode, I rewatched the clip recently where Spock kneels down. He's like, all right, I'm going to take you now. Pike is like, no. And he's like, come on, man. And he's like, no. Even before the cut, he's like, I don't want to do this. Like, he can't talk. He does the beeper thing, but he keeps saying no. Like, no, just don't risk it. And he's only doing it because he doesn't want Spock to get in trouble. But it's really funny how he's like, don't worry, Captain. I'll take you to the planet where you'll live out your dream in the illusion. And he's like, no, 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 no. He just keeps saying no. But anyway, public knowledge of Section 31. You're a fellow Deep Space Nine fan, correct?
I have not finished all of it, but yes.
Have you gotten to the Section 39 bit?
I don't
Where
so.
I believe the first episode is, I forget the character's name, but they introduce this character who is a Section 39 or 31, excuse me, agent, and he recruits Bashir for a mission, and then that's how that. Basically, Section 31 is an off-the-books covert ops team.
No, I have not gotten to that
For
yet.
all the
Okay.
people out there listening, this is the part where Will has become so wrapped up in his Star Trek lore that he would not even notice a naked woman.
Yeah. Anyway,
Charlize Theron, what are you doing here? And covered in whipped cream.
Oh, jeez.
You couldn't have picked someone hotter.
Ew, get out. Dude,
I'm gonna agree.
Dude, I would go straight for Charlize Theron. All right, no one's that gay.
Cause
What was,
they
time out.
even
That was an Archer joke
you
for
just-
all those people.
You just have to
Nice.
find the right girl, right?
No, that was
That's
literally
also
ma-
that's a chasing Amy
that
joke.
is a chasing Amy joke.
there's
Joey Lauren Adams. That's a good one.
Yeah.
but in
Kind of weird looking now.
See,
but-
he's just on track. He's not even paying any attention to
I'm
anything we're
steamrolling
saying.
through it, baby. So basically they're off the books. No one's supposed to know
Okay.
about their existence. Discovery, public. Everybody knows
Okay.
Section 31's the morally gray part. Pike knows, Burnham knows, everybody on Discovery knows, the admirals all know. They're just like, everybody knows they're shifty. But everybody knows they're out there. Even though in Enterprise, they show you, like, Section 31 exists. It's very small, but their security officer, do you remember his name? The British guy? In the finale,
Benedict Cumberbatch.
no. In the finale, it's retcon that he was once a member, and then he quit. But they like get him back for like this one last
Is
mission.
this special gray area the reason why the Klingons are now purple?
No.
Oh.
In fact, in that, in Discovery, Michael's love interest turns out to be a surgically altered Klingon to look human, which is a thing because
Yes.
in TOS there were surgically altered Klingons. There was in the Tribble show,
Yeah.
but Enterprise also retconned the human-looking Klingons were a part of the like disease that they got. You could catch this disease and you'd look human, and it'd only last for 100 years because it would be breeded out. But because I think children showed immunity to it or something like that. But they could have gone that
Well, here's the
route.
thing, though. The purple Klingons, all they had to do with that, because they had so many outs to explain it away. The most
Or
prominent...
the albino Klingon, because the albino Klingons show up too.
Well, no, but the thing was, you could have
Is this
explained
like
it...
a lantern thing with all the different colors.
No. All they had to do to explain it, because Worf explains it at one point with the ridgeless Klingons, because it wasn't originally, I think... When Worf explains it, is it Deep Space Nine?
It's Deep
It's
Space
a-
Nine
yeah.
where they go back.
Yeah,
in time.
He goes,
But
we
he-
don't talk
And
about
he
yeah,
just
it.
goes,
but
we
he-
do not talk about this.
Yeah, but that was because that was the point in time when the Klingons were experimenting on themselves to make themselves super soldiers.
Yeah, you find that out in Enterprise.
Yeah.
They explain it.
So that's the thing, like, you had that out. You could have just said, oh, they're like a failed experiment of
Yeah.
Klingons.
They're not purple this
Oh, do they
season.
not actually
They're
explain it?
gray.
They don't explain the color change,
No. And also, I think that's how they're going to keep them.
of course.
But, which is why I don't think you'll ever get Worf and
No.
Picard or any Klingon showing up because they don't want to, like, screw with that.
Which, again, it's so stupid.
I don't care for the design.
stupid.
And it makes it harder for the actor to talk, so it's really hard to
I kinda
understand
saw
any of
that.
the Klingon.
No, I think it's just dumb that they won't go back to the original version of the freaking Klingons.
Which you mean
the
original?
TOS?
Well, no, not the. I mean the
Next
next
gen
gen.
version of Klingon. I like that design. That's probably my favorite.
it's
of
just-
the,
I think it's everyone's favorite. Like, come on.
next on my list
Oh God.
was the cybernetic tech inaccuracy, like inconsistency. So if Pike gets injured and the best way to save him is to put him in a like automated wheelchair where he can only say yes or no due to blinks. One of the characters I thought was an android, but you don't know anything about her until the episode in season 2 where she dies. You find out that she was a person who got really messed up in a shuttle accident, so they turned her into a cyborg. So why wouldn't you do that with like other people? Because
Maybe
she was
Pike
like,
doesn't want to be a cyborg.
I mean, it could be, but he also can't like communicate.
Maybe he's the strong side.
maybe
Yeah.
he's just too far gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't do any good to make him. I don't know.
But what it looked like is that her brain was in the robot body. Like it wasn't like her body. They just plopped the brain in there.
So she was like RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
But even then, like
Not
RoboCop
as
had
cool,
like
though.
his face.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at
he
least.
still has his head. Yeah.
But yeah, no, she like just the bad right, cause like there's a like when Pike leaves the Enterprise, or Discovery, he's like, Michael, you did good with this, and Saru, you did good with that, and then everybody else on the bridge who you're supposed to care about, but they don't write anything for, they're like, you did good at your job, and this is after the
Hold on a second. I just have to ask you something because I haven't watched the show and I don't know any of the characters. Who's Michael?
Michael's the main character, the woman from The Walking Dead.
I didn't realize Michael was a female name. Okay.
In the 23rd century, sure, fine, whatever. Her name's Michael. I don't care.
I knew a Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like Michelle though.
Yeah.
Like,
Michael Burnham, is her name, is her
could
character's
you just
name.
call her Michelle? Huh? We had to. Okay.
I don't think it's like a statement. I think it's just like her name's Michael. I don't think it's that out of the realm, but even like the 24th, what? Fine,
I don't
whatever.
know.
do
Michael's
what you
not one of
want.
those names. Like, if it was Kelly or like
It's the only name they do it with in the show, so like to each his
Keep
own.
going.
But yeah, there's a girl that shows up to replace the cyborg girl, and she has like 2 episodes before the finale, and Pike looks at her and goes, and you did a great job replacing the cyborg girl. Like, he doesn't say cyborg girl. I think her name was Arin or something. And she was like, you did a great job stepping up for her. And then he leaves. Like, I was like, that's great. Like, you did a great job place filling. bye guys, and then he leaves to go to the Enterprise.
I think that's sweet.
Which yeah, his whole arc was fun and cute. I liked Pike. I want to see what they do with Strange New Worlds. I didn't like what they did with Spock because it was very like, come watch the show, we have Spock thing, because he doesn't really act like Spock at all.
What was their reasoning that they didn't feel the need to get Zachary Quinto?
It's not supposed to be the J.J. Abrams timeline. It's not supposed to be. This
But
is
it
supposed
could
to be the canon.
Same actor.
It could, but also Zachary Quinto's expensive because he's a movie star, and this guy's new. Like, this guy's new to the scene.
I don't know.
But speaking of Spock, he's dyslexic now.
Of course he is.
Because that's why.
More dyslexic.
That's why.
Dyslexia representation.
That's why Burnham's mom goes to him, because all the codes are like backwards, and he can make sense of it because he's dyslexic. Which we're making that.
That's not how
canon.
that works.
Actually, that's exactly how that works. Being someone with dyslexia, that is exactly what I do.
But like,
You are not allowed to talk anymore. Okay, that's not how dyslexia works.
This is my design.
I hate you so much, and that is the dumbest thing that they still are saying in that show.
You're actually still watching it? I thought you gave up.
No, I'm still watching it.
Where are you?
Not right
You
now.
haven't even watched it.
Yes, I have.
Uh-huh.
And it's painful.
Well, then
Yeah.
stop watching it.
No, I told you I was going to finish
You
it.
have bad taste. It's fine.
there's a moment where
At least I'm going to finish the show. Mr. got the entire Community series 4 years ago on DVD and only finished it a couple months ago.
I still.
I'm
think-
into season 3 right now.
Oh, good for you.
Nice.
Go on, Will.
There's a
First season's kinda
scene.
boring. I didn't really like it that much.
Yeah, his first season's okay.
There's a scene where Spock talks to Michael, his adopted sister, the main character of the show, and she's like, "Find someone who's nothing like you, and search them and make them be a part of you." It's basically like, this is why he likes Kirk, because his adopted sister, who, and this is spoilers for the end, but he's like, Spock's like, well, they ask him, what should we do? Because they tell Starfleet that they, like, blew up. They're dead. Because they tell him, like, what was happening with... Because they're trying to, like, stop, because Section 31 is has this thing called Control, which is an AI that's going to wipe everybody out in 900 years. Or at least that's what happens. And, like, 900 years later, there's going to be, like, a
future
thing.
Skynet?
Yeah. But it's also, like, really close to the Picard plot, because apparently if something happens, a bunch of space robot squids are gonna come through a portal and wipe out all life if we make androids too advanced enough. That's the plot of Picard. Just putting that out there.
That's the plot of real life right now.
If we get too advanced, because apparently it's happened before.
Do I have a fever?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Star Trek history is starting to make you sound like a crackhead. It's becoming X-Men continuity.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So
It's not that it's
So it's fine. You're gonna get to the episode where the
They all
Star
go
Trek
on the
Discovery
island.
crew and Picard are both gonna go back in time to when Star Trek Discovery started, and somehow Picard's gonna become his own great grandfather because
Yeah.
Spock's sister is gonna really become Picard's great grandmother.
hell yeah.
See, I know nothing about Star Trek, but like when we started getting into this like going around the sun shit, I was like, is this fucking X-Men? Like that's
My head hurts.
Hell yeah.
Just so everyone out
Is
there,
Hickman writing this?
everyone out there who clearly because we have no video, Jeremy has now gotten such a headache from Star Trek continuity, he has put his sunglasses on to try and quell the
He
pain.
wears his
Uh-huh.
sunglasses at night.
He
Yeah.
looks like a hungover movie star right now. He's like, please stop.
Oh my
stop
god.
talking.
Oh,
You're 2
I think
seconds
that's
So
homeless
that's-
movie star.
That's how they fix it at the end. Is
Johnny
there
Depp, if you will.
Spock goes,
Picard and Spock's sister are gonna hook up.
no. Picard or Spock goes, let's just make it all confidential. Like, we don't talk about it. We're not allowed to talk about anyone that was on the ship. Their persona, like, we don't ever reference it. They're all classified. Like, we don't talk. And that's how they wrap it up. They're like, we don't talk about it.
Can I ask a question?
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm messing with you.
Spock's hanging out with Picard?
No.
I thought I just heard that.
Well,
someplace,
he
but-
does. in the Next Gen show. There's a 2-parter where he meets Picard.
I don't remember that.
How
It's
far
with
off
the
are, like,
Romulan thing.
I
far
I
off are those
think
timelines?
I think Next Gen is like 100 years.
75 years.
75
It's
years.
around 60, 70 years is
Cl-
the time.
Do Vulcans live longer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in there. They live to like 200, I think.
Everybody lives longer because I think in the first season of Next Gen, Bones shows up.
He's 103 in the pilot episode. He shows up for a cameo. He's like, and Data's like, "Oh, you such old and filled with wisdom," and he's like, "I'm just an old country doctor." He's like
I'm
moving
just a doctor.
I'm just a doctor. Yeah,
I
but
never actually knew.
Damn
that
it, Jim!
before.
I don't
Thank
know.
You. I couldn't think of damn it.
there's
Jim.
3 original series cameos in that show. There's the cameo in the pilot, which is Bones, and he's his real age. He's
Yeah.
103, which he would be by that point. There's Spock, who's
realize
canonically
Spock.
his own age because he can just live that
And
long.
then
Because
there's
you could
the-
be like, he's a Vulcan.
Then there's the guy that got trapped.
There's
in the...
Scotty,
Scotty.
who's the same age as where you left him because he gets trapped in the transporter beam and he just doesn't age in the matter displacement thing. So when they beam him out, he's just like, "Oh, it's like 75 years later. This is really sad."
The best thing about the Scotty thing, though, the best thing about that was like who the heck was it? Was it
Jordy?
Jordy? He's
I love that.
Jordy's
part.
doing all this stuff, and he goes, "Why are you telling them all that?"
It'll be ready in 2 hours, Captain.
You don't tell him that.
You don't tell them that.
He's like,
Yeah.
You tell them way longer. That way, when you get it done quicker, like they think you're like you're like genius or something.
Yeah, they think you're a miracle worker.
It's just
that was such a cute scene.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
Yeah.
Well, we need more power.
Oh, well, I guess I'll try. Yeah, I love that that's a retcon, that Scotty has always been just a normal guy, and he just exaggerates stuff to
Yeah.
make him seem like a genius.
He's literally putting the crew at risk. Like he's like
Just so he can have 10 minutes or 10
Yeah, like-
seconds of good job, Scotty.
like he's just sitting there. He's like. You're telling me, Scotty, that every time you said you were giving her all she's got, you used all the dilithium crystals, Captain. Like you weren't. You were holding back.
Yes.
I guess.
You jeopardized the lives of your crewmates.
How many red shirts died because of the decisions Scotty made?
Well, he's like the all red shirt. He's the captain of the red shirts.
Yeah,
he's
pretty
the only
much.
red shirt in that entire show that doesn't die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look what happened when they gave freaking Kirk a red shirt. He died.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, they gave everybody... That's actually... I love that that's the canon reason they switched command to red. Like in Next Gen, there is a thing in Starfleet Academy about being a red shirt, so they switched the position. They switched yellow and gold and red.
Yeah.
Because they have that in the Star Trek universe. They're like, I don't want to... Because I guess they were having a lack of enrollment in the security because of the red shirt trope. So they were like, all right, well, we're switching the uniforms and they're going to be a new color. And that's really funny to me.
Well, they did that. They did that back during the original movies.
Yeah, they gave everybody the red, formal thing. And then you had, a colored strip was, your thing.
I will say, one of the things I love about the Abrams movies, though, like the third one, because that was
Beyond was so good.
It was, but what makes that one even better was when Kirk is like, because it's that point, it's the end of the 5-year journey, and he goes, I'm gonna go become an admiral, and I just love the fact that in that timeline, he realizes what the prime Kirk realizes too late.
Don't let them promote you.
Yeah, he's like,
Don't
I
let
don't want this. Like, I don't want to be an admiral.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't have to be out in space, and it doesn't wear on me, but it's like, the best times he had was when he was captain.
Yeah. That's a thing that they... I don't know if they bring up in the show, but someone brought it up, that, Kirk tells Picard, don't let them promote you, don't let them transfer you, just stay on the ship for as long as you can, milk it as long as you got it. And Picard let him promote him, and then everything went to Garbo.
Yeah, but isn't it like he but doesn't he take it after he screws up? Like, isn't that the whole thing? Like, he screws up real bad, and that's why he leaves.
Well, he becomes the admiral before he screws up, and his screw up wasn't really a screw up. it turns out it was like a Romulan thing because the Romulans are racist against androids, and so there was a shipyard on Mars because Romulus was going to explode, like in the J.J. Abrams, because that's canon. That's why the timeline changes, because Spock goes back in time after to chase Nero. But while that's happening, Picard is building ships for refugees. And the androids doing it backfire and attack the planet. But as it turns out, it was like a Romulan thing. I don't know.
So it's canon that Romulan's gone, right?
Romulus is gone, yeah.
And it
at
happens...
that point in Picard, yes.
Brushing up on your 5-year mission.
Maybe
That's the new one.
But yeah, no. So that's the So that's the whole. Well, that's the other thing too. Like we'll never get Worf because Worf is dead.
Yeah, in the comic, yeah. But I think Data's like robot brother from the last movie like is a captain in that. So I don't think that's canon because in Picard he's like, "Where's the robot from Nemesis?" And he's like, "Oh, he didn't work." Like he just like short-circuited and just didn't work. So I don't know. Maybe they're picking and choosing what they take from the comic, but it means that the J.J. Abrams movies are canon, but it created another timeline. Rather than... And Star Trek isn't one to do separate timelines, but I understand with the movies and everything, you want to keep it.
I am tired of time travel.
Yeah.
Time travel sucks. Stop using it.
But
It's
that's
not a fix for anything.
Yeah. No, it makes...
But look at what it did for Days of Future Past and X-Men.
That's what Discovery is all bent on time travel. Like, who's the time traveler and all this? And it makes it so complicated. And it's just a story of too many cooks in the kitchen. You count the producers in the intro alone, the executive producers, the co-producers, the regular producers. There are 21 producers on this show. There are more producers than there are cast members on this show.
Can we just here's the thing. First off, Star Trek Discovery should have taken place just in the future in general. It should have taken place
that's where we are now.
No, but what I'm saying is the show should have just taken place. All the original characters should be dead. Everyone from TOS, Next Gen, Voyager, they should all just leave it alone. They're dead.
I don't think they should be dead, but they should be their actual age and too old to be involved in the show.
No, but what I'm saying is that's where Discovery should be.
Well, that's where because they're 900 years in the future, so everyone is dead.
Yes, I know, but what I'm saying is that's just where it should have been.
They just did it too late.
Just done because the whole thing is the whole point of Star Trek has always been innovation. And advanced technology and things like pushing the boundaries and going to the final frontier. And now you've just made it just a convoluted mess. Yeah. And now you're telling me that all this technology existed 300 years before it was supposed to?
Yeah.
No, this is ridiculous.
Well, the whole thing, I think the reason they're going back, and I think a lot of the creative minds that have worked on Star Trek have said this, was around the time of the later season, actually around the time of the beginning on Voyager, they started running out of ideas for new alien planets, which is why Enterprise became a thing, because they were like, I don't even know where to go after Voyager. Where do we go? Which I would recommend you have an entire galaxy that has never been explored.
They literally couldn't just call up George Lucas and be like, hey, man, we need some ideas for some aliens.
Oh, God. By that point, though, you're talking to prequels, George, which is CGI up the wazoo. He'd run Star Trek into the ground.
No, I'm not saying put him in charge. I'm just saying, hey, man, come up with some ideas for us.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, too.
Can you imagine the Star Trek version of Gungans? Oh, yes. God.
Yeah, they're called purple Klingons. But no. Hey, but man. You know what? Here's the thing. You know what? You're doing all these shows. You're bringing all these people back. Cool. Can I get the last season of Enterprise? Please give us that story.
Does Enterprise end on a cliffhanger?
Yeah, because the last episode.
Well, it doesn't end on a cliffhanger, but it's a 10-year, or not 10, but it's a significant year jump in the finale. Because they had to because they got canceled the season early. So they had to wrap everything up. So they're like, oh yeah, this guy pretended to be dead, but now he's back. And this guy did this, and this guy did that. And it's also from the point of view of Riker.
Yeah,
Like,
the
it's not even from
the
anyone
last
in the show.
episode.
I'm sorry, what?
The
It's
last
all a hologram.
yeah,
Is it still real Riker though? It's not like recast Riker.
No, it's real.
No, but it's not a recast, right?
Yeah, it's not a recast.
I might have to
Troy
watch
shows
that
up.
last season because I will watch David Xanatos read me the phone book.
It's not the last season. It's just the last episode.
I might
because
have to watch the
it's
last
the
episode.
founding of the Federation. Like, it's the founding of the Fed. Because
Oh.
Starfleet was already a thing, I think, at that point. But the Federation itself, the United Federation of Planets.
Yeah, that was the thing though, and that's the thing that really upsets me is that they got canceled a season early, and there was so much awesome stuff that they had like set the groundwork for.
Well,
Yeah.
technically, I mean, they still could because what's his nuts is on contract with CBS anyway.
Who?
Scott Bakula.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you could.
I'm sure he'd be willing to don. That's what you could have done in Discovery. Like, that would have been so cool if we got cameos from, like, Enterprise. Because they could still be around. Because you're in the middle ground between
So-
your two.
So
your
help,
two,
help me out here.
yeah.
And Devon, please chime in because I think I need you for this too. What is the start point of Star Trek?
Enterprise.
Even with Discovery.
Enterprise.
Yeah, it's Enterprise.
Okay.
So it's so right now, canonically, it
Okay.
goes Enterprise,
Yeah.
Discovery,
Okay.
TOS, Next Gen.
Deep
Well,
Space
actually,
Nine.
stop. No, I'm sorry. TOS, the animated series,
Okay.
Next
Right.
Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager,
Yeah.
and then Picard.
Picard.
Well, and
Oh,
then
okay.
you have all the movies too.
Picard,
No,
and
I
then
need a TV show because that's what I got very confused about. Even with you talking about Discovery.
well,
I
now
was wondering where it was
Discovery
going.
just jumped over everybody
yeah.
to the future.
No, I'm fine with that. I
Yeah.
just wanted to know where we went from.
But-
you know,
Again,
The
like
starting,
was
the
Discovery
earliest.
before or after the original show. That's what
It's
I needed to
before
know.
TOS. Yeah. I'm excited for the Pike show because I enjoyed, on a positive note, I enjoyed everything that had to do with all of that, like Pike #1, who they actually give a canon name. She never had a name in the pilot. Her character name was #1, and she wants to be called #1 because in the finale they're interviewing everybody about what happened, and they're like, "What's your name?" And she's like, #1, and I was like, "That's the name you're gonna put down for you." Wait, did this character never have a name? But they subtly name drop. Her name is Una,
Like the game.
because that's Latin for one.
Oh,
So
that's
makes sense.
fun.
But her canon name is now Una. But the Enterprise bridge design, I liked the way they designed it. That was really fun. I liked the uniform,
I
the
thought
update.
that
It grows on you. Like it startled me at first, but then I was like, it grows on me.
I
like it.
really enjoyed Enterprise, and one of the things that I just liked the fact that it was the humans dealing with meeting all these alien races for the first time,
Yeah.
and I thought that was cool because it's like, okay, you don't.
Like how we met.
How did they wind up becoming not only like part of, not only be like become, they form the humans form the Federation.
With the Vulcans, Andorians, and Tellarites.
But it's
Yeah.
like it's one of those things where especially considering how like you see how like all the other alien races view humans in general, it's like
Especially in the beginning, yeah.
yeah. So I loved I liked the crew on that show. I thought that the stories they told were really I think it was season 3 that wasn't very good.
That was the war season, right?
No, then it was season 2.
Because I think the war season was the one that not everybody likes, where they're stuck in the... It's kind of like the Voyager episode Year of Hell, but an entire season of just that.
What was
Of
Year
them-
Hell?
Year of Hell's the two-parter where, they end up going back, but it's a year of Voyager where everything just goes wrong. Like, I think Harry dies
yeah.
and Tuvok gets blinded by the missile
Yeah.
and everything.
Isn't that where you find out it's all the fake crew?
No, that's a different
That's a
episode.
different-
That's
when
the
you
one
find
where
out-
they start dissolving and they're like, "What happened?" And they're like, "Oh, we're the fake crew from
Yeah.
that episode back in like season 1." Oh,
But so the thing was with all the Enterprise stuff, and I first off I loved Archer. I thought he was like a great captain.
he was fun.
And the thing was that by the time they got by the time season 4 Yeah, because it had to have been season 3.
Yeah,
And then-
season 3 is what got it canceled.
And season 4, well, the ratings were so good on it, but by that point they had already
Yeah.
pulled the plug, which really sucked. I enjoy, but I really wish they would just finish that because you're left with so many questions with that finale jump, like because it's like
Yeah.
and then you find out like they retcon the entire show as
I'm gonna
oh
look up the character names right now.
they retcon the entire show with the finale because what it is all the whole show has been is Riker has been watching the vid tapes on the holodeck as the cook.
Yeah, you never meet Chef. Chef is the person they reference because they don't have replicators yet. And in the thing, I don't know if it's a retcon for the show.
Yeah, it is because they talk about because I think in the
No, because
they flash to scenes where you see Chef passing people food,
Right, but
and
it's
Riker.
but it's only during that finale because that episode takes place during a TNG episode. Like, it's not like just him on the Enterprise like dicking around like he always does this. No, he's there at the creation because it's during, I think it's during that two-parter where Picard's a hostage for the Cardassians. I think it's that episode, but it does canonically take place during a TNG episode because Troy shows up and they like talk about it, and he's like, "I'm trying to figure out these negotiations by learning from Archer." Even though he's more of a Kirk guy, you can't really bring Bill Shatner back and put him in the yellow suit and be like, "Oh,
There's not
everything's
a big
regular."
enough hurdle.
You know, that's the reason the green shirt exists, because he was gaining weight, and they had to make a shirt that stretched on the bottom. And so that's why the green shirt exists, because he was just gaining weight. That I think is a very interesting fact.
I do enjoy the fact that I do like the fact that William Shatner is to the point now where he's like, I'm old, guys. Like, there's no reason for me ever to come back to this.
Yeah.
Not
Wasn't he miffed that he wasn't in Malcolm was the security officer, the British security officer I was looking for. Wasn't he miffed that he wasn't in the J.J. Abrams movie? I heard that he was mad.
He was supposed to be.
He wanted to be, but
And
they said
then
no.
when Spock died,
Well, no,
when Leonard Nimoy died, he was like, "I'm not coming back."
no, he was gonna. They were gonna try and work a cameo in for him, where he was. The thing was, it was just gonna confuse people because
Because
they
he's
couldn't- they
dead.
well, no, because they weren't gonna give him like a role where he played Kirk. It was gonna be a random, like he was gonna be like one of the ship operators, and you're like, oh, it's William Shatner, but it's like, but Leonard Nimoy's in it as Spock, so it would have been like, wait, so is he Kirk? No, it's like it would have just. So they like cut it because they're like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, they also reference it in when Nero faces off with Kirk. He's like, "Where I come from, you're dead," and he's like, "Oh, that's." Oh, like he starts freaking out because he's like, oh, because in the prequel comic, he like looks up Kirk's file and he finds out when he died.
Yeah,
so
but
he's like,
he
"You're
also,
dead."
but that was the thing. He, and that was like a really cool. I just loved all the stuff with Kirk in those movies because it was just this whole journey of. Nero says that to him. He's like, Captain Kirk was a great man. And he's like, I'm gonna make sure you don't get to that point.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where Kirk really is one of the pinnacle points of why Starfleet is where they are.
Yeah. He's the rule breaker. He's the like cop that's off the beaten path, if you will. Like
he doesn't believe in no-win scenarios.
Yeah. He's had some wonderful moments. Oh, and speaking of Enterprise, that trip death was BS.
Yeah.
Him dying in the finale for shock vat. That's the only reason they did it. Was just shock vat. It's like Wash dying in the Firefly
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
It's just it's BS, man. Like that, and that's the thing. Again, that finale is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have come up with a better like finale than that.
Yeah. The main gripe I have with the Enterprise show was that it falls into the same pitfalling that like the original series had, where it only focused on like the three characters, like the three main trio, and then the other people were just kind of background people with lives. Like when they retconned the Malcolm being a part of Section 31, I was like, what okay, I want to see more of him. I want to know what he's up to. Like when you leave them, you barely know anything about Malcolm other than the Section 31 thing or the comms officer or the navigator Mayweather. Like you don't Toshi, I think is the comms officer, right?
I don't remember.
Like the series basically just follows Archer, T'Pol, and Trip. And I was like, all right, but I want to see like the other guys.
Well, that was the
they're
other thing
cool
too. Like they had a lot of stuff built up with Trip and Nepal too, and
well, yeah, because they were doing the relationship thing.
and then for them just to like again that whole shock value thing at the end, it's just like really.
Yeah. You know, we got on Enterprise when we were complaining. I wanted to end it on a good note that like I'm cautiously excited for Strange New Worlds because the Kurtzman Star Trek is not good. But, you know, I've enjoyed as long as there isn't 21 producers shooting ideas at each other.
You mean the new shows, you mean? Like the Picard and the
Picard and Discovery.
All right.
I don't know why they brought him in, but okay. His biggest claim to fame is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, out of what? Like, out of anyone you could have picked in Hollywood? Like, that's the... Okay, whatever. But, yeah, he's like the Kevin Feige of the Star Trek shows right now, but there's also 20 other producers. Like, if you watch the intro, they flow through that cast real quick to just show you all the producers on this show. Like, Jesus Christ. Like... You know, chisel away at them, put some of them on Strange New Worlds, preferably the ones that are coming up with the good ideas that make sense, and then just give me that show. I'll watch that show. As long as Spock is in character, because Jesus Christ, is he one emotional bag of emotions in Discovery.
Well, but they've stated that, though, even in TOS. Before he's with Kirk, he is a super emotional character.
Have it in what?
I mean, even in the first couple episodes of the Star Trek show, he's really emotional.
Yeah, because they hadn't... I know in real life they just hadn't written him like that. Like in the Cage pilot and in the original series pilot, he, like, smiles. Like, a couple times. He, like, laughs, and he's like, humans. Funny little Like, it's weird... So I would understand if that's like him developing the emotionlessness.
Also, my question, real quick, just to put this out there, we haven't in Discovery. They don't run into Romulans, right?
No.
Good.
Yeah, because you don't
because they don't meet Romulans until the episode where Kirk fights the warship.
They don't even bring it up.
Good. Good. At least they didn't mess that up.
I want to know, because in TOS they talk about there was an interplanetary war they had, but it was just them sending missiles back and forth. So was it between Enterprise and Discovery? Because Enterprise shows you that that's when they found out that Romulans exist. So was it between there that we had the weird missile war? I don't know. But we did, like, war with them at one point for a very short period of time before we ever met someone in person that was Romulan. And then it was, like, a whole allegory for, like, the Japanese internment camps and, like, all that stuff.
Pointy-eared hobgoblins, as Bones would say.
Yeah. You're out of your Vulcan mind. You green-blooded... what a time.
Pointy-eared bastard.
Say what you want about Say what you want about Star Trek 5. I think Star Trek 1's the worst one out of all of them.
It is.
But a lot of fans argue that 5 was. I love the dynamic of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy throughout that whole movie. They're so
the one
funny.
With the space whales?
5?
No,
that's 4.
Oh.
4 is the best one. That one's so good. 5 is the one with Spock's half-brother, Cybok.
That's the one where...
They meet God. What does God want with a starship? Excuse me.
That's not really God.
Yeah, it's not God.
Great.
It's an energy being that's been trapped in the Great Barrier.
Perfect.
But no, I mean, you can argue between 2 and 4, which is the best Star Trek movie, but...
You could. Yeah, I understand why a lot of people think 2
Which is the one that Leonard Nimoy directed. Didn't he direct
That was
one?
4.
He directed 4. I think he also directed 6. Because him and Shatner, him and Shatner went back and forth.
What were you saying?
I didn't even know there was 6 movies.
Yeah, Undiscovered Country.
6 is Undiscovered Country. 7 is Generations. 8 is First Contact. Because they're all technically still
Oh.
numbered 1 through. I think because there's 4 Next Generation
That's kind of
movies
actually
counting
cool.
Generations.
Generations, First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis.
Yep. So it's
I didn't
6
like
plus 4.
Nemesis
So
is
there's
garbage.
Nemesis
10.
is awful.
yeah.
Nemesis is I'd probably say that's probably the second worst, next to the first movie.
I like First Contact.
The only problem I have with
Maybe,
Generation,
yeah.
the only problem I have with Generations, is how they do Kirk. Like,
Yeah.
he got shot in the back.
No, yeah, you know what? I
Like-
would put Generations because that movie's fucking boring until he shows back up again. Because it's just them like, God, we got to find the Great Barrier for like the whole movie. Like that's
That
pretty
movie
much
also
it.
has time travel in it, which I dislike.
No, Generations doesn't.
Yes, it does.
They don't time travel.
Yes, they do.
When?
They literally do the entire scene where the Enterprise crashes and everyone on the ship dies, and
Oh.
that's why Picard and Willie and Kirk have to save everybody because they like
'Cause-
reverse it.
Yeah, because the way it works is you can leave the Nexus at any point in time.
Yes.
So they go back 10 minutes. So yeah, technically there is time travel.
Which, ironically enough, is the entire premise of Galaxy Quest.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, the
I
end.
haven't watched Galaxy Quest in
Yeah,
a long
remember
time.
at the end they had the thing. He goes, what good is a 30-second rewind? It'd be enough to undo one mistake. And that's how he saves everybody.
Yeah. Oh God, what an
You're-
underrated film.
That movie,
I really like
that
it.
is that's probably the best Star Trek movie. Galaxy Quest is the best Star Trek movie.
I know so many people that would agree with you.
It's so good.
It is fun. It's It's about like the Star Trek show, like what it was like as an actor who was on that show.
Yeah, apparently I just found out from somebody that the scene where Alan Rickman is going on about how Tim Allen's character kept like stealing his lines.
Oh, is that based on the Sulu?
No,
or
it's
the
a
George-
real thing with William Shatner. He would go through the script and count how many lines everybody had, and if anyone had more lines than him, he would take their lines.
That sounds like a Shatner thing to do, because that was his whole feud with Takei. Was he would like if the shot was like a close up of Sulu or anyone that wasn't him, he'd take the director off to the side and be like, and they'd come back and then they'd get a reaction. They'd move the camera to like it's more important to get Kirk's reaction to the saying than a close up of the person saying it. So yeah, no, he was not great to work. And I think do you remember that short-lived show he had on Bio, the Shatner's Raw Nerve?
No.
He had Walter Koenig on it, and Koenig was like, you never like opened yourself up to be like a friend. Like you did your stuff and you were kind of a cock, but like you and then you left. Like that's why nobody liked you. Like the only people you would talk to were your co-stars, of that being Leonard and DeForest. Like he didn't talk, and maybe James doing on like an occasion, but he didn't talk to George, he didn't talk to Walter, and he didn't talk to Nichelle. Like he didn't really like make friendships with them. But yeah, we're an hour and 45 minutes in. Do you want to close us out on this very long extended Star Trek? I've been bursting at the seams to talk about Star Trek
I know
so
you
much
have. I'm
for
glad
so
you got
long.
your moment. I do.
Thank you
wanna,
for allowing
I
me to
wanna
do
give
this.
the floor to Jeremy for a moment. That he has been wanting to talk about this because it is a travesty that happened this past week,
And it's actually comic.
and it's comic related. No.
Hey, we're pop culture too.
We are
I
pop
was
culture. It's a
joking.
pop culture
I know.
podcast.
I was a part of the bit. I was doing the bit.
Jeremy, do you want to air your grievances with Marvel Comics at this time?
First off, I want to do a review on something.
Okay.
Transformers: War for Cybertron just came out on Netflix.
Yes.
Robots in disguise.
What kind of smoker survivor?
First off,
I don't
I'm a
know.
throat cancer survivor.
That's really bad for your voice, so I'm not gonna do
Yeah,
it
please
again.
don't.
But it's like breathing in and talking. Gives you like a robot voice.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
How many episodes is it?
I think it's only 5. I think it's supposed to be a trilogy, so I'd imagine it's probably
So
gonna be
they're
5
like doing
episodes
it like kind of
per-
like broken up parts of a movie. I watched the first episode. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoy the fact that Bumblebee is just like he's a so essentially the way they set up War for Cybertron, it's different than how you see a lot of it because in normal Transformer stuff, it's always been Autobots and Decepticons. Except for the fact in this one, they established the fact that there's just regular Cybertronians that aren't Decepticons or Autobots. And that's where Bumblebee falls. He's just a regular Cybertronian who doesn't want to pick sides. He just wants to go about his day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually kind of cool.
That was really
Is
cool.
this a reboot or?
Yeah. Oh, it's a prequel. They're actually setting it up as an official prequel to the original show.
Well, I think too, like the original like War for Cybertron was like super long. So
What
if
the...
there was like there's a series at one point.
There's a game.
Is there a streaming service you can watch the original show on currently?
The original show, no.
Oh.
I don't think it's on anything.
Is
I'll
Beast Wars
Google it.
still on Netflix?
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe.
know either.
Beast Wars might be.
Regardless, it's definitely worth. I mean, 5 episodes. I don't know how long they're probably about a half hour
Alright.
each, I think. But really good. To close it out, and I'm gonna make this really quick because it's just
Okay.
upsetting and stupid. Marvel canceled Ghost Rider, one of 2 good titles that was happening over at Marvel. The other being Scream, both canceled. But Scream's coming back. Right?
Scream's coming back.
Yeah.
You
So
can watch it for
that's
free
great.
on
So
Tubi.
hopefully Marvel realizes their mistake and keeps Ghost Rider going because
There's a petition out there, everybody. Save the Ghost Rider comic book by Ed Brisson.
there's a lot of petitions to bring Ghost Rider back right
yeah.
now.
Everyone is like just super mad that they canceled this book. It's upsetting.
Huh.
I'm not even like I don't know. I'm not really mad. It's just
Don't let them off the hook.
No, I'm not letting them
Don't
off
let
the
them off
hook
the hook.
because
Like-
it's stupid. Like I am upset about it. I'm not mad though. Like I just expect Marvel to do this now. Like every crap book under the sun is written by Marvel, and those are always safe. Like I don't think any real comic book fan gives a shit about Avengers. Nobody did for 20 years. And then all of a sudden, because there was a movie, like let's make 8 million Avengers comic books and Captain Marvel comic books, and Captain Marvel's awful. Let's be honest about this. Like any original writing, like lasts for a couple issues, and then it's just shot down. And the thing is now is like, what do you do with that 7 issues? You just retcon everything because I feel like it's kind of heavily entwined into a lot of what's going on.
I feel that Ed Brisson gets all this hype. Like, you know, everyone loves Ghost Rider. People were liking X-Force.
People loved his old man Logan.
People loved his old man Logan. And then he just gets canceled.
Well, it's the same thing that's been happening to Matthew Rosenberg.
Yeah.
Matthew Rosenberg is a great writer, and everything he puts out is solid. His Punisher was great. His his Uncanny X-Men was probably the best X-Men run in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait,
Agreed.
who did you say was writing Ghost Rider?
Ed Brisson.
Ed Brisson.
Oh,
Why?
okay, never mind. Which wasn't it Jeff Loeb that got outed for the anti-Asian stuff?
I don't know if you're
One of the
talking
comic book writers recently got in a lot of stick because I guess
There was
he's made a lot of racist
there was
comments
the
against.
Dynamic Forces thing.
I thought you said Jeff Loeb, so
No.
I think it was a thing.
I
Let me
don't know if
just
that
let
would
me
be-
look my
yeah,
research
'cause I'm
up before we
curious.
before we
I
do
don't
that.
remember that at all.
Yeah, you could
I know there
continue.
was a big
Sorry.
thing between Tom King and Jay Lee.
Yeah.
I think when it just comes down to it, it's like Ghost Rider feels like a different.
Well, look, I mean, but look what they did. That I don't think there's one. Is there a supernatural book they're putting out?
No.
Morbius, but that's also
Uh,
on.
Hiatus.
Morbius, Strange Academy.
Strange
I
Academy
wouldn't
isn't.
really. Yeah, I wouldn't put Strange Academy in
Alright,
there. That's just another.
um,
To me, that's an offshoot
And
of
they even
Avengers
canceled
right
Doctor
now.
Strange.
Are you? Yeah, they canceled Doctor Strange.
Really?
Yeah, Doctor Strange got just randomly. This is the issue that came out this week.
Jesus Christ! This is the other book that I like. Like,
Are we counting Immortal Hulk as a?
No,
No.
that's all.
Okay.
no.
I'm just making sure.
And now this really surprises me that they're still going to put out the Werewolf by Night book because it's like,
Well, are they?
Yes.
yeah, apparently.
Well,
that's-
let's work that better. It's
I-
solicited.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they might not. But the thing is, like, here's my thing though. I mean, my hope is that they're just at this point because they canceled Strike Force, they canceled Ghost Rider, they canceled.
I'm hoping they're gearing up to retool everything.
I'm hoping they're just going to turn around and do a Midnight Suns book.
Ooh.
Like that. That would be great.
Well, this is the thing, and
But I feel like they set up a lot of story to just
yeah.
And from what I hear, so issues 8 and 9 are done. The Empire issues are done. But apparently the annual is not canceled yet. The Vengeance Howard Mackie book. So I'm still kind of excited for that. Hopefully it actually happens. But in the long run, it's like it to me, like you said, like Ghost Rider fills that like kind of supernatural, just different type of book. Like Marvel's just so
because
like
we don't have a Moon Knight book. Now we don't have a Ghost Rider. We don't have, the Strike Force book, which had the other supernatural characters in it, which were,
Damien,
Hellstorm and Blade.
Wiccan. You could teeter with.
but even like even
Yeah.
Hellstorm, like it's not the Hellstorm that I remember. Like
Well, this is the part that I'm confused about, and I'm not saying like let me tier this properly. Working in this shop, we sold more issues of Ghost Rider than we did Strike Force.
Yeah.
But it does baffle me that you have, even with the Hellstorm TV show, the trailer just premiered.
Yeah.
And it does actually look really fun and really neat. That there's no rush to get a Hellstorm book.
Well, the other thing too. Well, that's the thing, and that's what I don't understand. We have a line of Conan comics. We have a line of Star Wars comics. We're gonna have a line of Alien vs Predator comics.
Yeah. Where's your horror genre?
Yeah. Why don't we have the horror element? And here's the thing.
well, and but that's the other thing too. It's like if you're gonna bring anything back from like all that, horror stuff from Marvel, like why bring Werewolf by Night back? And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Werewolf by Night, but why bring Werewolf by Night back and it's not even Jack Russell? It's just some new random character. Like, it just seems weird to me that we're going to take a chance on that, but we're going to cancel a good book.
But here's the thing. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm fine with this in essence because most of a lot of the Skinwalker lore and werewolf lore is Native American. But it's just another Marvel cash grab of let's try and fill a demographic. We're gonna do Werewolf by Night, but it's not the Werewolf by Night that anyone knows.
You want to talk about filling a demographic? Boom is killing it with their horror stuff.
Yeah.
Image, I'm trying to think of an Image horror. Oh, Coffin Bound, like that's doing relatively well.
Mercy.
Mercy, thank you. I needed a horror book. Even DC has, Justice League Dark and.
Well, here's my thing. Like, honestly, at this point, what I would want, you want to revamp your horror line? Fine. Then you need to let Al Ewing finish his run on Immortal Hulk. James Tynion doesn't have an exclusive with DC. Get Al Ewing, Tim Seeley, and James Tynion to write the horror line of comics. Because they are great at horror.
But even at that, like, they're going to fill this whole, like, horror spot with vampires and X-Men again. And that's the thing. It all comes down to let's make this all about Avengers and X-Men, and that's it. And when I heard Ghost Rider was canceled this time, like Ghost Rider always gets the shaft. Every time there's a good Ghost Rider book, it's just, screw it, we'll get rid of it. And this time I finally thought to myself, it's like, I've been holding on to the X-Men, the current X-Men right now because I like the X-Men. I don't like any of the books that are going on right now. There's certain things that are going on that I'm like, oh, that's fun. But for the most part, it's like, this is like, in the long run, this is fucking stupid. Like, I just feel like
it's gonna
ruining
get
like decades of of X-Men lore for what? Just this stupid, cute little Hickman story that he thinks he's a fucking writer of goddamn Donnie Darko. Like, it's just so convoluted and retarded. Like, let's get over it.
Well, it's one of those things, and again, like it's this whole idea of this ridiculous subculture now of let's subvert the subversion expectations and subvert it. Like, what does that even mean?
What
Like, no,
did you just say to me?
like they're like that's the whole thing.
I
It's
liked
like
it.
I don't
he's
know what
like
it was.
he's trying to be contrary by writing a more convoluted story for the already convoluted history of the X-Men. It's like,
yeah.
why? Like, oh, because you want to shaft everybody and show them how stupid the continuity is?
I think it would have been
Great.
easier to
Like-
like clean up the continuity, like
Yeah,
like
which is
and
what
it would have been
Michael-
far
which is
more
what
interesting.
Rosenberg was
did.
Yes,
doing.
exactly.
Yeah, Matthew Rosenberg did. He cleaned everything up. He was getting rid of ancillary characters. He was making a good story, and we just, yeah,
But I don't know. That's the
flushed
thing.
it
It's
all
like,
away.
If I think if it's at that point where Marvel's just like treating such a great character, we're back on Ghost Rider again. If you're gonna treat such a great character like that, to where it's like, and here's the thing, and this really bothers me. It's like Robbie Reyes is still a Ghost Rider in an ongoing book. We're like almost 40 issues into now, or over 40 issues.
Yeah.
Robbie Reyes is not a Ghost Rider. He's horrible, and they should have gotten rid of him forever ago. But I don't know. Jason Aaron's just going to keep beating that dead horse for the next, I don't know, decade or so. But the real Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, we're just going to keep getting rid of him. It's like, if you're not going to use the character, sell it to another company that will. Because think about it. Like, every 10 years we get a Ghost Rider book, and max it lasts like 20 to 30 issues. And in the last decade, we've been lucky if we've seen Johnny
The last one,
30 times.
yeah. Ever since the last Ghost Rider book ended, the real Ghost Rider book.
Can you come closer?
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that? There you go.
Ever since like the last real Ghost Rider book ended, like it was just regular Ghost Rider. Yeah, I mean that was 2010, and Johnny showed up for like a hot second in that Alejandra book, the one that was the spin-off of Fear itself.
Yep.
And then that was it, right? They didn't do, and then they did the Reyes book, which no one cared about.
Yeah, and
They tried it twice, and both times it only lasted about 7 issues.
yeah, and then we didn't see him again until Damnation, which was what, 2 years ago tops.
Yeah. Which again, there you go. Donny Cates writes a great like horror. He writes good supernatural. I kind of want him to just be done with his Venom crap so he can just go write more Ghost Rider and supernatural stuff. And Doctor Strange. His Doctor Strange was awesome. I got real upset that he killed the dog, but Doctor Strange was awesome.
The current Doctor Strange is awesome too, but
Eh,
I like it.
was
It's
I was okay with it. It just like
I think it's interesting. And you know what? The last issue I really liked, but I don't know. I think Donny Cates, you should probably use your bad boy image over at Marvel, pull some weight, and get your homeboy Ed Brisson back on Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Do some
Light your
good
hair
for the
on fire.
community now. Yeah.
light your hair on fire. It'd be better than that really bad blonde dye job you're already doing.
Don't make fun of him now. I'm trying to get him to do us a favor.
I don't know if we wanted an answer to this question
do,
about the
actually.
Jeff Loeb thing. He is quoted. So basically, during Daredevil, when in season 2, when Nobu was introduced, he was apparently supposed to have a bigger role, but it
I
is
thought that was
apparent.
season 1.
It's apparently season
It's
2.
with Elektra.
Nobu was supposed to have a bigger role. However, his role was apparently decreased on a major scale by Jeff Loeb, because he said, and I quote, and this is a quote from the actor who played Nobu, that nobody cares about Chinese or Asian people, so we're cutting it. So that was the big thing that I was referring to, because I remember hearing about it recently, and I was like, what was that Jeff Loeb
Yeah, I
thing?
missed that.
It didn't hit big news outlets, but a
No.
lot of small ones reported on it, because apparently he's got a thing for them for some reason.
Huh.
But yeah, that was just the answer to that, so that we're not like left up in the air with our audience.
Interesting.
But yeah, yeah, it's an unfortunate truth about Ghost Rider. I don't know if it's like, if it's a thing with sales? Does he just not
So-
sell well?
That book
No,
we were
I can tell you we sell it well.
Right.
You know,
But in
as-
the general term, like, we
I
might
don't
have a
know.
bigger Ghost Rider demographic here than anywhere
but I mean,
else.
generally, like one of the big things like with it is like I find that like at least
You can move the
at
mic
least-
closer to you if you
At
want.
least, at least for me, like, and the customer base here, as much hype as they were giving, like Strike Force, and they were
Yeah.
giving Morbius, and all
Uh-huh.
these books that they were like, we were doing better with Ghost Rider than we were doing with any of like their other ancillary titles, and it's one of those things that really just upsets me because we had like we had a good number of subscribers for Ghost Rider, and we were selling just as many, if not more, off the rack of people
Yeah.
who were just coming in to get Ghost Rider.
I actually have a question for Jeremy. Like, everyone can chime in, but this is more directed towards you. With the idea of, because originally Black Cat was getting canceled, and in the back of this current issue 12 that we're sold out of, right? 12, 13? It says Black Cat will appear in the Null book that's happening.
King in Black.
King in Black.
So if you're asking if there's anything in the back of the Ghost Rider book,
No, that wasn't my question. Do you think that with Johnny Cates doing, what was it, Damnation, right?
Yeah.
And everything, do you think that he's pulling Black Cat, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, Strike Force people?
Oh, wait, real quick.
Well-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just remembered something. The other really good Ed Brisson book that got canceled, Iron Fist.
Yeah.
That book was
I-
awesome.
Do you think that that's what he's like? So it's getting
I don't-
canceled.
I don't know why. Here's the thing: issues 8 and 9 were done. Empire 1 and 2 were done, and they're all just canceled. And here's the thing: like I don't understand why you would just get rid of those last
No.
4 issues if you were gonna pull it out and use it someplace else. My thought is that there's some conflicting storyline about to happen, but I think what it really came down to is just Marvel got screwed with the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
And it was that simple. But it's to me, it's like there's so many other books that you could cancel that nobody cares about.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a movie out.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Well,
basically what it is. If
but
you're not in
that's
the MCU,
studio-
you're more likely
That's
to.
studio, though.
But yeah,
But
I
it's still
could see
covered
that too,
by
because let's be
Disney.
honest, like everything Marvel does is based around
The
the
movie.
MCU now,
Yeah.
which is stupid because again,
They're just trying to
let's
get more
be honest
readers.
about this. Like
Which, you know what?
there's comic book fans and there's movie fans, and it's like you can piss off the movie fans
Yeah.
as much as you want because there's way more comic fans.
Well, and here's the thing though, and this is the thing that I've been saying, and a lot of people like they've been asking me lately. I even had a discussion with someone today, like, and everyone agrees. Everyone who's a big comic fan has. A lot of people agree now that the big two, Marvel and DC, everything they do is so reactionary to social media and to the trolls and all the people who, you know, they're trying to pander to, that there's, for the exception of a few things where, you know, like Amazing Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man's going to sell because it's Spider-Man. So, okay, Nick Spencer, you can keep doing your story as long as the sales don't tank. Like, and Nick Spencer's Spider-Man story is probably one of the best Spider-Man stories there's been in years. 'Cause
Well, there's characters that just sell
Yeah.
gangbusters all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
so they're
but-
not going to mess
but
with
the,
it.
But the thing is, like I said, the majority of it, if I want to read superheroes now, like honest to God, good, like heroes being heroes and like them fighting villains and not just fighting other heroes because, oh, you think that, you know, I should wear a mask and I don't. We're gonna fight. Like that's literally what Marvel's boiled down to now. And like reading Black Hammer and reading Umbrella Academy, like Astro City when that was getting put out by Image and Wildstorm and DC later on, like it's all the stuff you want to read. You want to read heroes being heroes and people saving the day and the bright shiny things out there that can still be. And that's not what Marvel and DC are anymore. It's depressing. It's, oh, let's inject all this real world crap. I don't want real world. I want freaking comic books. I want to escape the shit that is in my normal life.
That's
The other thing
exactly
is,
what
too,
happened with Star Trek.
Is that
Yeah,
Marvel really lacks that anti-hero these days? It's like you know,
Oh,
everybody's always going to go to Wolverine, but Wolverine's not even an anti-hero.
I would
anymore.
argue
he's just a guy that
Deadpool.
never died. Yeah, and
But here's the thing,
Deadpool's
but
a
here's the thing
Punisher,
now.
basically.
But now,
yeah.
But
that's the thing,
here's the
now.
thing. I would argue that they've gone too far into making everyone an anti-hero. No one has any strong moral fiber. No one stands their ground on anything. All these characters are so flippant now.
Frank.
Frank's solution to everything
Frank
is putting
is-
a bullet in someone's head.
Yeah,
I mean,
Frank is an anti-hero, though.
Yeah.
but everyone's like that though. Almost every one of these characters is willing to kill. Like, no, they.
Ghost Rider isn't.
Well, wasn't that like a
Once
thing? Like
again,
Marvel,
I disagree with that.
Marvel
No.
never. Did they really do like the no kill rule?
Yeah.
Like I thought it was like
Yeah.
only
That was
if
a
necessary.
big. No, that was a big thing, even
No.
with Cap. And Cap was like, "Look, I'm a soldier. I went to war, but my first reaction is I don't kill people." And like that's why he was so against Wolverine being on the Avengers originally, because he was like, Wolverine's a killer. He's literally programmed to kill. I can't trust that he's gonna be okay. And like that was a big thing. But now they're all willing to kill. Every last one of them. I think Peter's like the only person left in the entire Marvel thing that isn't willing to. The teenagers are willing to kill.
Hold on though. I want to comment. I don't know if you're reading it. I don't think you are.
Also, Ghost Rider can't kill.
He destroys their soul, though. I mean,
That's fine.
It's
That's
the
not
same
killing 'em.
thing. Daredevil.
Oh, Matt's definitely willing to kill.
Yes, but in this current Chip Zdarsky iteration, it starts with him killing someone, and it's him dealing with the repercussions of that on his religious beliefs, his moral beliefs, and in the eyes of the law.
Oh,
What the fuck was that?
that was another thing they did in Discovery. They made Pike a Christian.
We're not going back.
I know.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, again, but there's these boundaries that these characters wouldn't have otherwise crossed. Like, you know, and everything. The end all be all is we're going to kill everything. I mean, look at the X-Men. Everyone in the X-Men is willing to kill anyone, especially if you're a human. Like, really?
That's not true.
Now it would be because of all the Hickman stuff.
Really?
Because they're like a
Really,
weird
especially
murder
after what
sex
Charles,
cult.
Yeah,
especially,
and if you can live forever, who the fuck?
And
cares?
actually-
Kill
and
people.
really-
No,
and-
that's
Like-
one of the rules at the Quiet Council. You can't kill humans.
that doesn't mean it's not
Uh-huh.
happening though.
so
I'm just saying
that's
that
what
is
X-Force
the
is for.
rule. At
yeah,
the-
and you know what? And here's the thing:
I'm just
that
saying.
whole council thing. Did you ever read Animal Farm? All animals are created equal. Just other animals are created more equal than some.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what Charles can do whatever he wants. He proves that when he walks into Reed Richards' lab and pretty much just
So am I
does
the
what he
only
does.
one that had no problems with that?
What about issue? What was it? Issue 6 of X-Men,
does he
where
do?
Cyclops and the other dude
We'll
like
tell
are
you about it.
kill like all that like hit squad like when they're at the meeting.
yeah.
Like,
don't
Oh
kill
yeah,
them.
yeah.
are you sure about that?
They do not kill them.
They look pretty dead.
They do not kill them.
I don't know. I mean, they blew up the entire.
X-Force is still killing everybody.
Yeah.
In their
Not,
path.
not only that,
It's
but
X-Force.
you also have. I mean, in House and Powers, you had them blow up that entire Sentinel station
That
and kill
rule,
all the.
those rules were not in
Oh, that's
existence
right.
At that point.
That's right. They waited to make the rules
Yeah.
until after they kill all the
To
people they
bounce
needed to
back
kill.
to your question, Reed creates, what was it for his son? What's the friggin' machine that he created?
Oh, it's that like gene. It does something
It
with
can,
like,
it
the
can
X gene.
eradicate the X gene in like utero.
Uh-huh.
So what Charles does is he walks into Reed's lab, wipes the memory of how to create it, and destroys all the computer backup of it, and then looks at Reed and says,
And Magneto.
and Magneto crushes it. Looks at Reed and says, "So I've permanently removed this from your memory. You're gonna know you built this, and you're gonna know that I have wiped this from your memory. That way you can never build it again." So instead of wiping the whole thing from his memory, he wants Reed to realize what he's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
it's-
dick move on Reed's part.
On
Like,
both people's part.
I mean, that's a whole argument of like,
Yeah,
is
except-
genetic
yeah.
manipulation
well,
okay?
is the
The
Like,
genetics
other
okay?
thing too was.
It's what he says at the end of
Yeah,
it. Too.
it's
Like,
it's
that
pretty
last word
dick.
was like.
It's a
And here-
giant fuck
and here's
you.
the thing, though. The other
Yeah.
thing too, the reason why Reed was creating this was because one of the last times Franklin's powers was doing what it's doing now, it was killing him. So Reed was trying to save his son. At the end of the day, that's what Reed was trying to do. He was trying to save his kid.
I can't wait till you find out it's really Doom's kid. Joe, roll.
I
It's
kind of
gonna
wish
happen.
they let Doom do his thing to him. And
Yeah.
Oh well, that's the other thing too. Doom's even at the point now where he's like, they've gone off the rails.
Oh yeah, I
And
like
he's
this whole
plotting
Doombot
with
cycle
Valeria
thing. That
because
was-
Valeria's like I think at this point is
that was interesting.
because Valeria's always been best friends with Doom, but she's like, so what do we do? He's like, we go along with this right up until they cross that line, and then we're gonna have to do something about it. And
It's gonna be everyone versus X-Men.
again, why? Okay,
I also
Here-
keep forgetting that we still have an 11th life. For
Here-
Moira.
We need to remember one thing. How close are we getting to Avengers vs. X-Men anniversary? It's gonna happen.
2012. 2012 was the Avengers vs. X-Men.
Again. Okay, so in
2 years.
2 years, we're gonna have 2 years of this build-up shit, and it's gonna be the 10th anniversary of Avengers vs. X-Men.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And,
And that's
any
all they're doing.
hero who isn't a mutant is going to be
Yeah.
is going to be an Avenger. But regardless, but there you go.
Where
But-
will Franklin lie? Oh.
Well, that's half your problem.
But
Yeah.
He's
here-
he's
It'll
gonna go
probably
with
be
mutants.
something about him. He'll probably do something.
here's
I
the
think
well,
Franklin is now a mutant. That's it.
but
Yeah, he's part of the cult.
here's the other thing too. This
No,
is
he's not.
Oh, you haven't been reading FMX.
Franklin goes with them.
Yeah.
Oh.
It ends with him going with them.
Oh, I read the. I'm on the Empire, like the incoming thing.
Yeah, no, this
Oh.
is X-Men.
This is X-Men Fantastic Four. You didn't get that, I don't think.
Oh no, I never got
well,
that.
in any case,
It's really good.
so the thing is that again, here we are. It's heroes fighting heroes. Okay, like here's
Well, that's because we removed villains from X-Men.
well here, but no, but
So-
here,
Everyone else now is a
again.
villain.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, you've had all this. I'm tired of us treating the Marvel and DC comics like they are these like sitcom soap opera things that at the end of the season we have to go back to the way everything was at to start the next season.
Sweetheart,
Because
comics have always been similar to soap operas.
so the thing here is that okay, the X-Men have been around for so long. The X-Men have saved the world how many times? Like publicly from Apocalypse, from Onslaught, from
Magneto.
God only knows what. And you're going to tell me that that the rest of the world at large, like we haven't moved past this? We haven't got to this point where oh yeah, no, they're like, why is it that the guy swinging the hammer with lightning falling behind him, smashing buildings in half, you're like, oh yeah, that guy's gonna here to save me. But the dude shooting laser beams out of his eyes, who you know is a mutant, oh, he's a threat. No, that's not the way the world would work. Like,
Yeah.
at a certain point, the public at large would be like, oh yeah, for the last 20 years, these guys have been pretty decent.
Well,
I think it's
not
okay.
even that, because,
The main
like,
well,
No, it is
I'll,
that,
I'll
though.
tell you
Well,
right
no,
now
I was
the
gonna
reason
make a
they
different
the
point.
reason they reset it is because they want new viewers. They don't care about you. They got your money. You're subscribed. They want new people. They want that populace that is seeing the movie. They
So-
want
Wait,
them
okay,
because
so
they're
here's
even
the thing,
bigger.
and this has always been my problem with the like, oh well, we'll do it for the movies. So if there's one movie a year, that means that one movie fan goes
There's
out.
two.
Okay, so there's 2 movies a year. So as a moviegoer, you might go spend like $50 each time you go to the movie. That's $100. I spend $100 a week on new pickups. A week. Am I not more important than that one movie ticket or 2 movie
Nope.
tickets a
Well,
year?
they don't make enough money off of you. They make because it isn't comparative because there are more people spending the $100 on the movie
Yeah.
than there are spending the $100 on the books.
But if they catered towards the comic book fan, who's already a built-in fan, I think more of us would be willing to go out. Because I know there's more people like in my shoes. Because I don't know. I know all you guys like the movies for the most part. Like,
Yeah.
I find them entertaining, but I
That's
fucking
what I
hate
do.
them outside of that.
No,
Like-
I find them like. For me, we haven't hit like how they're gonna handle X-Men again, and that will be
I'm
like
very
where
intrigued.
I come at, like where Devon comes out with Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. I
You
see
know,
what
that-
you're saying.
That's
yeah.
where like I'm gonna be like,
Okay, well, but in Infinity, it was entertaining. But
Oh, I
let's
did
be
like it.
honest, it was fucking garbage
Yeah.
outside of...
Well, again, here's the other thing, too.
I
Like,
liked it.
to my
I like
to
the
my
first
other,
one. I did not like the second one.
Endgame is garbage.
I didn't
Um,
like Endgame.
I thought it was good.
Did you?
I liked
I
it.
thought there was a lot of as
It was like the
popular
wrap
word
up
that's been
and the
flowing
callback.
around.
Well, I keep
pandering.
hearing this thing that it's like, oh, well, it's not supposed to be like Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet. Da, da, da.
Then why
Yeah,
did
we
they
talked
call
about
it
this
that?
So
last
why are we
time.
calling it that, and why is it following the basic storyline of it?
Yeah.
But
But anyway,
loosely following.
here's the thing.
like, just make a new fucking story.
Back to my point about the mutants and just how the general
Sorry about
populace.
all my cussing.
No, it's fine. It's your passion, and I love the passion. And the thing is that, like, for me, as a huge Spider-Man fan of the comics, at a certain point in the comics, there's no way New York City at large would read the Daily Bugle and go, oh yeah, I don't know, that Spider-Man guy, he might be good, he might be bad, except for the fact he's an Avenger. The man is an Avenger. There's no credibility now for Daily Bugle or J. Jonah Jameson or anyone to be like, oh, Spider-Man, he might be a threat or a menace. But he's not. The Avengers recruited him. You can't make the argument anymore. Same as the X-Men have saved the world how many freaking times? You can no longer make the argument that the mutants are trying to eradicate the humans.
This was what I was going to bring up prior. With that idea of everyone still hating mutants, popular opinion or fear tends to die out over time. May take forever, but it does die out. I feel like in the mutant history, that fear of mutants would have died by now.
Yeah.
It would have been waved over into some sort of popular, So it's just like, for me, it's I like that. Keep the groups, keep humans over mutants or whatever. Keep the purifiers.
Here's
passive. What's the
purifiers.
Keep the purifiers.
But here's the thing, though, and I agree with you. And here's the thing, and this is the thing again, and I think this is something that people in general don't get, even in real life. The people who out there who are ignorant and that are assholes are gonna be ignorant assholes. Yeah. You're never gonna change those people, but the majority of people are not them.
No.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. That to me is one of the things where that's why Magneto doesn't have. He'll always lose when he tries to take over the world or tries to kill humans because he's wrong. At the end of the day, the majority of people don't want to exterminate the mutants, right. and even the mutant-hating humans. At the end of the day, they're going to lose because they're wrong. Because the majority of mutants don't want to kill the humans. Everyone just wants to be left alone to do their thing. No one wants to. At the end of the day, people in general want to go through their day. They want to be left alone, and they don't want to bother anyone else. That's it. The general populace is that. That's what they're like, and that's the thing, and that's why, again, I think, like, have the groups, because it just shows that there's always stupid people out there, and that's fine. But to tell me that the United Nations at this point in the X-Men continuity are going to be like, nah, we don't like you. You're mutants. That's not what would happen.
This is why.
Let's get some actual storytellers in there and have people actually craft real stories.
This is why.
Please.
These massive team books. I always like a character-driven story to begin with, but like, one of my favorite things that I'm reading from Marvel right now is Spider-Woman, and it has nothing to do with everything else that's going on.
And that's why Ghost Rider.
That's what I was like. That's what we need. Black Cat. Other than
that's why Ghost Rider was good in the '90s too, because none of that had to do with anything else in the universe.
And anything that did tie in with Ghost Rider or the Midnight Suns was all other character-driven books, like Spider-Man and Venom.
Well, and you think about
Morbius.
the crossovers too. It's like 2 to 4 books max, and that's doable.
Doctor Strange.
Like when you start getting into, like, we're doing 30, 40 books crossovers. It's like
this whole X line.
And there's 87 different characters I don't care about that I have to buy into their books. Like no,
but
thank
that's what I like about Black Cat. They reference, like, they actually put like a little C whatever to find out why Wolverine's on Krakoa when he pops up in that. Spider-Woman is just a lot of fun, and she's doing her own thing. You can have an Avengers, a Fantastic Four, a team book without it having to be this mini epic. Just have it be a superhero story.
Well, and that's the thing. Like the crossovers and your mini epics these days.
Yeah.
There's gotta be one every month.
Yeah.
And I don't remember it being like that in the '90s. Like it was just like let's
What
write.
do we have?
some
We had
good-
Blood Tides in the 90s.
No, you know when this all started? Avengers Disassembled.
Yes.
And when Avengers Disassembled happened, it
You're gonna kill him.
became the summer event. And every year we had to have an event. Someone had to die, and someone has to get reborn, and then it became every other year was the event, and the off year was the overarching branding. So you had Secret Invasion, but that led to Dark Reign, which led to the actual event, which was Siege. It's like, I don't need that. Just tell me good stories. And you know what? If it's an Avengers story, leave it in frickin' Avengers. Or, you know what you could do? Stop publishing Avengers every month and make Avengers the event book.
Yeah.
These heroes are only supposed to get together when there's... What was the original line of the original Avengers book? There came a day unlike any other when not one hero could handle what happened. Like, you needed them to come together because there was no way for one hero to deal with it. The stuff that the Avengers deal with, it's like...
I just wonder where they get their personal time.
And it's like...
Oh, Red Skull's back. You know what? This is my me day.
And also, like, at this point,
Bucky's
too,
got
it's
this, right?
again, it's like, we've talked about this before, too, like, with DC. It gets so ridiculous, like... Tom King's like the only one who's actually made an effort to be like, oh yeah, no, we have to explain why these people aren't showing up. Like, oh, this plane's about to crash into Gotham. Hey, Alfred, put a thing out to the Justice League. Wonder Woman's on Themyscira. Crap. Okay, what about Hal? Oh, he's off in space somewhere. He can't even get the transmission. Oh, crap.
Clark.
Okay, where's Clark? Clark's dealing with some Kryptonian stuff. Ugh. And it's like, okay, cool.
Well, that's
Like,
Well, that's I think like Marvel right now. It's like at any given day, Reed's doing 18 different things during that day, and I feel like Reed ties into almost everything that's going on,
which
like in every book right now, and it's ridiculous.
All of this could easily be rectified with a Will. You're writing X-Men. What are the X-Men doing right now? Great. Jeremy, you're writing Ghost Rider. Like an email, like a mass email chain.
Well, and that's the
Please
thing.
reply back to
Editors
me.
aren't editors anymore. They're babysitters.
Yeah.
And they don't even do their job. Like, I've read articles where, like, okay, so Countdown to Infinite Crisis for DC. It was the countdown. It was the big thing that was going to lead into Final Crisis. And Grant Morrison went off, and they were like, hey, write this story. We need you to do the event. It's going to be, and he's like, okay, well, here's my idea. And they're like, okay, cool. We're going to do all the countdown stuff. And they made this whole plan without him. They're like, okay, go write the event. And he went to write the event. And they set up this whole big 52-issue long countdown to Final Crisis. And then what happened was, he turned it in, and Dan DiDio crapped himself because he's like, Grant, this isn't, what is this? He's like, what are you talking about? That's the story that you told me you wanted me to write. He goes, but it doesn't tie in with any of the stuff we're setting up in Countdown.
Yeah,
You didn't tell me it was supposed to. You told me to go write the story. You didn't give me a map of things I had to include in it. And he's like, oh crap. So what'd they do? They canceled Countdown and ignored everything that happened in it and just launched Final Crisis.
Oh yeah.
So everything that people had been reading for a year was all contradicted in the first issue of Final Crisis. Because Dan DiDio was a shitty editor.
Who wrote Final Crisis?
Grant Morrison.
That was Morrison too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, like, it was like, okay, well, what did you want him to do? And then other editors are scared to talk to the writers because they're like, oh man, like that, he's a big name guy. I can't piss him off. And Grant Morrison said on multiple occasions in interviews, if they had just told me I couldn't do it, I wouldn't have done it. Like, there's a whole thing with, like, Jason with his hair originally being red. And he had to dye it black. Because Batman didn't want people to realize it was a different Robin. Except that got retconned out. In post-crisis continuity, Jason's hair was never red. So they were like, he's like, yeah, I didn't realize they retconned it out. If they had just told me, I wouldn't have written that in. And it's just shitty editorial. and no one does their job.
We're encroaching on 2.5 hours. I think it's time to say goodnight.
I think it is too.
I would like to point out too. I'm sorry.
One more thing.
So our big next upcoming event, in
Sorry to
Marvel
kick you,
is
Will.
the King in Black.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, since the issue that Noel was introduced in Venom 3,
Yeah.
we've been gearing up for this.
Yeah.
That's literally 2 years of books and at least one major event. And we've still not really seen this dude.
That's true.
And 2 years. 2 years of like lead-ins and tie-ins and this and that.
Jesus.
Well, you see him a lot in that incoming book. Right, Will?
Who?
Null.
Yeah, you get like what he's doing, and he's coming. That's
Well,
pretty much it.
Oh, Null's been coming for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel's just milking that teat. But no, yeah,
I
it's
hate you all.
it's rough, man. Like I think, and then also the fact that the
Jeremy, what was your thought though? You started this, and then Devon took over.
No, it was like what he was talking about with Crisis there, like just
Yeah.
we need 52 issues to do this, and it's the same thing. We're
Yeah.
like hundreds of issues into Nola's coming, and he's
Yeah,
still
well,
not fucking here,
and the other thing too is that Secret Empire or not Secret
sell you into
Empire.
thinking you need every one of these issues
Uh,
up until this, like.
Empire, they've already said that one of the big final issues of Empire, which is an epilogue issue, is the Null Empire issue that leads directly into King in Black. So we're not even getting a breather. We're literally, September comes up, we get the Null Empire special, and in October it starts the Null.
Oh, hold on
event.
though. Don't you dare forget. We have X of Swords in September too. So you have 2 events back to back. 3.
Which
3 events.
last when Absolute Carnage was going on, we also had House and
Yep,
Powers
and
going
Powers.
on, which was ridiculous. There was way too many books, way too quick. And they're gonna do it, and you know what? We're still playing catch up with everything else too. So they're just gonna keep cramming
Yeah.
books down our throat.
I'm just waiting for
But just
Mephisto
not
War.
good books.
I'm waiting for the Mephisto War. That's all I want.
And real quick,
makes
just
the world go round.
to
the
touch on
world
something
go
for Will
round,
real
the
quick,
world
like he made that comment earlier that maybe we cancel Ghost Rider because he has nothing to do with the MCU, but Keanu Reeves is currently in talks with Marvel about being Johnny Blaze.
I'm sure once the movie is
I
out,
would
he'll be
lose
untouchable
my mind about
if
that.
it does well.
But you know what? I don't know.
I'm cool with Johnny Blaze being gun kata. That'd be great. Just having a gun kata Johnny Blaze with a chain whip, it'd be awesome. I'd be all for this.
What the hell's a gun kata?
Like the gun fu. Like
Gun
all the stuff.
fu?
Yeah. Have any of you watched The Matrix?
Are
No.
you having a stroke?
No, it's literally that's what they call it. When
Oh,
people
it's-
like do all the crazy tricks. Like
Is that where he like goes under the bullets? Like he like
No, just like all the crazy stuff they do with the guns in Matrix and in John Wick. It's
oh, like he
called,
whips the bullet.
Yeah, it's like all that stuff. It's
Ah,
called gun
okay.
kata or gun
what
fu.
was
Like
that
it's
movie with
that was Wanted.
Yes.
I love that movie.
But yeah, no, that's like.
I hate Angelina Jolie.
Oh wait, so that's the thing. He's just gonna. So basically, what's gonna happen is he's gonna be the Ghost Rider with the chain whips and the gun cut. He's gonna be Spawn. They're just making a Spawn movie. They're not even doing a Ghost Rider movie.
making
They're just making Spawn.
They're gonna put Angela in it too.
They will. They'll make. That's where Angela belongs. She belongs
That's
in a Ghost
true.
Rider
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, always has been.
But hey, listen. This has been a really long podcast. We're really happy that everyone stayed and listened.
Well, it looks like he's got PP
we,
pants over
I
here.
do.
And we had to close this out. This is the final thing, and we're gonna say our goodbyes. But we are thinking about doing some more new content for the channel. Some reviews on
yeah.
books. Some Steve and I want to maybe start talking about some of the Chaos comics
And Spawn.
and Spawn. Like doing a whole videos of the entire runs of these things.
And Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider. Jeremy can do the videos about Ghost Rider and tell us about the Family of the Blaze.
I could do that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Family of the Blaze. I'm good
So,
with that shit.
Hold on though, Will. You have more homework because we have 3 things here. What the fuck do you want to do?
He's gonna do.
Yeah.
He's talking about Star Trek, man.
Star Trek.
We're gonna do.
No, I just
We're gonna do
wanna know.
episodes about Star Trek.
I have no clue, but at the moment, I'll
I was wondering what you would want to do.
So
I'm
everybody,
going to
listen.
be editing all of these.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I don't want you to feel left out.
Yeah, I'm fine.
So
Can I do this
Will's
from an
like,
armchair, a fine leather armchair?
we're gonna do just yours are gonna be just videos of you
Like
in
the
a,
comic pop couch that they get where they all sit on it in front of the
So
camera.
no, I think I also like I think sometimes Will is like a sponge. He likes hearing us talk about like things that happened in the past with comics. So the thing is like we want to do some new content. We want some opinions. If you guys want review things or you guys want us to talk about certain characters that maybe you haven't seen a lot of stuff on YouTube or other channels or other sources, because that's one of the reasons why Steve and I want to do the history of Chaos Comics and even the new Coffin comics, and Spawn, because there isn't a lot of info out there about these characters, and Ghost Rider. Although there is some info out there about Ghost Rider. I think we're just indulging Jeremy because we don't want to lose him.
What do you want to see? Let us know in those comments down below.
That's right. Comment about everything that happened in this podcast. We want info. We want to know what our viewership wants and how they feel. And I'm not not patronizing anyone.
In total honesty, Star Trek would be fun for me to do. Not a great thing for views. Like, Star Trek does not have a good enough community on YouTube. Like, Star Trek has a giant fan base, but it's not present on YouTube.
But it's you, Will.
Yeah.
You bring it's
I'd
all
be
about,
passionate.
It's all about your personality and what you're bringing to the table. What you're going to do to change the game of Star Trek reviews.
And then he was like, "No, that's stupid." And then they warp over here. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I want to
Yeah,
hear
but
a play-by-play of
everything you
every
talk
episode.
about so far that like I've heard, like you're very passionate about all of it, so it's like you could pretty much pick any one of the normal topics. Like you seem like you go on for hours and hours just about DC. So like
Yeah.
Oh, hey, yeah, we can pick up some obscure
Like-
DC stuff. But you know what? You know what we're gonna do? You can do all the Star Trek. However, I want to be the one who does all the reviews for Voyager. On that note, everybody,
Okay.
this has been Devon.
Will.
Raw honey. I forgot what the hell the first part of it was.
Natural.
No, it wasn't natural.
I thought it was natural raw
It
honey.
was sweet raw honey.
No, I'm pretty sure it was natural raw honey.
Well, I'm leaving
was
too.
it?
I did
Dave
an
Rod
editing trick.
Signing off.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you later.
Pure,
All right. Bye.
Pure raw honey.